complete college basketball's greatest rebound and rebuild with a championship.
If you're going to war and I'm coaching, I'm taking these guys.
Baylor, kings of college basketball, #1 in the land, and the trophy is coming to Waco.
Baylor, one of the great turnarounds in college athletics history, national champions in year 18 for Scott Drew.
Our fans that have been with us for the lean years, the good years, and our administration, President Livingstone, Mac Rhodes, they all deserve this. The city of Waco deserves this. Hey, Texas, we got a national championship too. The state deserves it.
Did I stutter?
He has time, launches it to the end zone. Touchdown! Terrence Williams!
But they are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook.
The 2011 winner of the Heisman Trophy is Robert Griffin III, RG3!
Welcome to Up Tempo on SicEm365 Radio.
Langoliers, base hit to center, and the Baylor Bears win their first Big 12 tournament championship.
Their fat little girlfriends are telling them what they want to hear, which is how great you are.
I'm a man. I'm 40.
Call us on the Impact Health Labs caller line at 254-339-1122.
Hello? You play to win the game.
Yep, just ready for OU.
You can't handle the truth.
Here's Drake Toll.
Welcome into the Petty Clinic Low T Bears Den. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Drake Toll alongside J.D. Pickell, Armstrong, Sims. Cole's in studio with us today. And Baylor men's tennis won the Big 12 championship. Baylor football played in the green and gold game over the weekend. We had softball and baseball with series wins. But the biggest news, it is news in college athletics, I'll say today, Kim Mulkey officially announced yesterday at a press conference in Baton Rouge.
No.
Yeah, that Kim Mulkey.
Kim Mulkey, the acrobatics coach.
Nope, that's Felicia Mulkey. And if we'd have lost her, it'd be a lot worse. I didn't say that.
Oh, no.
6 national championships.
I didn't say that.
6 national championships.
Gosh, it's Kim Mulkey Tuesday.
It's Kim Mulkey Tuesday
all across the country, and especially in Baton Rouge, and I guess technically especially in Waco.
Kim Mulkey Tuesday, as she was officially announced yesterday at the press conference, wooed the crowd. The first thing she said, she pulls up to the podium, grabs her mask off of her face, flings it, and says, "First, let me get rid of this damn mask."
Yep.
And thus it begins, the Kim Mulkey era at Louisiana State University. I must say, I was wondering to myself, how long until Kim Mulkey does something stupid at LSU that gets the national media riled up, and it took all of about 17 seconds. Literally the first thing she did in her press conference yesterday set the tone, as she is now the head coach, Louisiana State University. 254-339-1122. The question of the day today is, where does Baylor go next? She's gone.
Right.
Goodbye. Thank you for all that you've done here. You were a legend. You helped build this program. But at the same time, there's no time to cry.
Let's talk about that intro for a second. Talk about that whole press conference. She walks in. That's the first thing she says. If you're the AD, if you're Woodward, you're like, oh no. Like, I knew we signed up for Mulkey, but I didn't know we signed up for Mulkey for the press conference too. So your heart has to drop. And she just talked a lot about how she was coming home and how that was the biggest thing for her, and she was excited to have crawfish and her special brand of strawberries, and that was like a big crate that was up there on the stage. But the whole thing just kind of felt a little fake, did it not? Like, the whole thing felt like, this is my only thing I can say that makes sense to any of you, so I'm going to say I'm coming home. We're all going to get excited about that. But, I mean, like, it felt very much like there's an elephant in the room here, and I guess we're just going to go along with it,
well,
right?
She teared up a few times in her opening presser, and I could see why. I think it was a tough decision for her to leave Baylor to go to LSU. But what I saw in the press conference yesterday, what it felt like was that at some point in time, she'd step off the stage and say, "I'm just kidding." It was like it seemed like the aura of the press conference that she was like, "Hey, I had fun on a vacation back home. Sorry, I was kidding. I'm going back to Baylor." And I know that's a thought that some people want to be a reality, and it's not a reality right now. 254-339-1122. The phone line, text lines are open. But it felt, I agree that there were some parts of it that just felt fake. It felt like, okay, is this real? Like, touch yourself. Is Kim Mulkey actually going to LSU? Mm-hmm. And with this happening, with her going to LSU, a question arises. Is this a bust for Kim Mulkey?
I guess that remains to be seen. That's kind of a cop-out answer, but I guess that remains to be seen because for her, if she's able to build LSU into a national title, she'll be the first women's coach ever to win national titles at 2 separate schools. So at that point, you're like, well, I bet on myself and I won big. I mean, I am effectively the GOAT. In my mind, you probably are in a conversation with Pat Summitt and Gino Auriemma, and you have that, wild card of, hey, I did it at 2 separate schools. So that's huge for her legacy. Not that she needs much more for her legacy. Michael freaking Jordan is introducing her at the Hall of Fame ceremony.
Right.
But is it a bust? I think there's more opportunity for it to be a bust than a boom for her, because if this goes sour, this will kind of feel like a little bit of a black eye in what she was able to do here at Baylor.
So one of the things that I have seen, and last night I had a conversation with another Power 5 women's basketball coach that gave me some more information on Kim Mulkey and the hire, and we have learned through certain sources, again, we talked about it yesterday, that Mack Rhoades did not push Kim out at Baylor University, that she made this decision herself. One of the key points and key takeaways last night is that Woodward, the athletic director at LSU, did not have Kim Mulkey on his short list of coaches that he wanted to hire at Louisiana State University when this process started, because he didn't believe he could pry her away from Baylor, even to come back home, because LSU just doesn't have that basketball pedigree.
Yep.
The same guy, same coach that I was talking to, said that the former LSU head coach, who was leaving for Las Vegas, that she was struggling there, barely treading water, and they were ready for a departure anytime. She's off to Las Vegas. It helps them out. Woodward wasn't going to reach out to, didn't have Kim Mulkey high on the list because he didn't expect to get Kim Mulkey. It was Mulkey who initiated this, called Woodward, called someone at LSU, and made it known that the door was cracked. And once LSU smelled blood in the water, they went after Kim Mulkey. She actually initiated this from the jump.
Which I think in some ways for Baylor fans should take a lot of your heat that you're putting onto Mack Rhoades off. Because at that point, then it becomes a conversation of, okay, she went to her boss and was, in some way, obviously, if she was unhappy enough to go to LSU, she was unhappy, and said, hey, boss, here's my issues. And her boss, again, I want to emphasize that, her boss said, I don't know that we want to necessarily, meet these demands, quote unquote. You work for us. And so I think that should give Baylor fans like, okay, Mack Rhoades is a reasonable person. We've seen Kim Mulkey at times communicate in not the most gentle fashion. So one can only assume that there was, some, I guess, disgruntlement on Mulkey's end to where she went and put herself into free agency. So it wasn't like Mack Rhoades said, hey, kick rocks, you're too difficult. You know what I mean? I think she had the opportunity to stay at Baylor if she wanted to. And it's just unfortunate it worked out the way that it did.
This wasn't something Mack Rhoades stepped up to Kim Mulkey and said, hey, you don't have a job here next year. That didn't happen. Kim Mulkey said, she bluffed. Baylor called her bluff, and that's why she's at LSU. This was a move that Kim Mulkey made that I firmly believe in the beginning. This was Kim Mulkey saying, hey, I have had a great performance. Picture it yourself, going to your boss. I've been performing great. If you want to keep me, here's what I need, X, X, and X. Mack Rhoades said that's not really how we're doing it here, and that was why Kim Mulkey went off to LSU. The big understanding is the court naming.
Yeah,
that has been corroborated.
Yeah,
that has been corroborated. Not only the court naming, but the placement of the arena, that has been corroborated. Kim did not like things at Baylor or the way that things were being done, and that is why she made the decision to leave. This was not Mack Rhoades saying you're done.
Which, if you're the LSU administration, you have to think a little bit. Are we in over our head? Did we bite off more than we can chew? Did we eat with our eyes a little bit here? Because in the report from The Athletic by Brody Miller, he said, a lot of the conversation before her going to LSU was how much support am I going to get from the administration? And I think that's a fair question. I think any coach would want that, but based on the reasons why she left Baylor, if you're LSU, are you not a little bit nervous of, okay, how long does it take for this thing to turn on us? You know what I'm saying? How long until she wants the court named after her at LSU? How long until she wants an arena, whenever LSU makes a new arena? I don't know if that's coming anytime soon. I have actually no idea if that's even in the plans, but assuming she stays around LSU for a while and they get a new arena, does that then become a problem at LSU? I mean, at what point do you feel cheated at LSU? And so I think that's something that's got to be a little bit concerning if you are the administration. If she's going to turn on somewhere, I shouldn't say turn, if she's going to have issues with a place where she was successful for 20 plus years, what's to stop her from making that same move at LSU for the same price tag?
The more that I see this, the more that we get extended from what happened, there is we had the ego conversation yesterday and talked about if this is an ego move, then Kim Mulkey's in trouble. And the more that unravels and unwraps from this and the way that she handled this, especially because she knew about this a long time ago. I talked to a source yesterday who said this has been in the works. I mean, this is something that dates back maybe to a week ago today. And Baylor players were kind of left out high and dry. There wasn't a lot of communication with those girls. They didn't know much. So then it was kind of dropped on them as a bombshell over the course of the weekend. They're hearing rumors and rumors and rumors. Nothing's being addressed. Then Kim says, I'm gone. And at that point, players started to react. But the way that this was handled, the way that I analyzed this, it seems like this was a move that Kim Mulkey, this was a poker move, that Kim Mulkey was trying to leverage her way to get a little bit more out of Baylor, which coaches do.
Sure.
Coaches have egos. Coaches do. And it ended up getting her to LSU, and I just don't know if it's going to work out the same there. I think she's got the same fire. Barbara Teague just sent a message in here and says, Kim's location has changed, but the fighter has not. She'll recruit the same players. Players want to play for her.
Yeah.
That's true.
That's true for sure.
That said, it's going to be a lot harder to build at a university like LSU that you're never going to be the A1 queen of the town if that was your goal.
Also, the talent that she's going to be recruiting from, she can probably still recruit Texas, I'd imagine, pretty effectively, but she's going to have to get on a plane to get there, or she's going to have to take a long car ride to get somewhere in Texas to go and
Louisiana's her
recruit.
pipeline.
Not as much as Texas is. Texas is a better women's basketball talent than LSU, or than Louisiana.
She's gotten a lot of really good players out of Louisiana.
I don't have that. I mean, in terms of, I think they have
their entire recruiting class last year is from Louisiana. LSU might not, but Kim Mulkey has recruited Louisiana.
In terms of high school recruits ranked in the top 100, Louisiana is much less superior, much inferior to Texas.
I would agree. But Kim Mulkey gets those 2 or 3 players every year out of Louisiana, brings them to Texas because of her Louisiana ties. She'll do that at LSU. I had a conversation last night with a Power 5 Division I coach, and his words to me were that none of this recruiting class that's coming out into LSU, that very few of their players are going to stick around. And that's because they don't match Kim Mulkey's caliber. So that Kim Mulkey is going to walk in and hey, it's a big recruiting class at LSU, numbers-wise. That said, it's not something that matches the standard of Kim Mulkey, and that Kim will want to bring in other transfers. What does that mean for Baylor University? I think that means Kim's going to have a hard recruiting pitch for Nalissa Smith. I heard someone yesterday tell me Nalissa Smith is as good as gone from what they have seen so far from Baylor to go with Kim Mulkey.
You think so? They said that?
The source said that they thought very, very confidently Nalissa Smith is as good as gone from Baylor University to follow Kim Mulkey. That said, if Satia Messer is hired as a head coach, I think things change there. However, right now, you're looking at Queen Egbo, Nalissa Smith. You're looking at Moon Urson that might not be at Baylor University next year.
I think there's probably going to be 2 separate camps. One of, hey, we want to follow Coach Mulkey. We're loyal to Coach Mulkey. I think we'll see how many people that is, obviously, as the portal starts to play itself out. But you also have Nina Davis coming out and saying, hey, I'm committed to Baylor forever. And I think there is more people than we think that are going to be in that camp strictly because of Baylor being a different school than any other school in the country. I mean, the Christian aspect, it's a really good academic school. I don't pretend to know a lot about LSU in terms of their academic prowess, but I'd imagine it's secondary to what Baylor's going to offer them. So it really does matter, it does come down to how much loyalty do you have to Mulkey. So, I mean, that's obviously unfortunate if that is true about Nalissa Smith jumping ship. We'd hate to see that. But if Satia Messer stays around, I think she's the person that I would be rooting for in the most religious way for her to be the one that takes over the helm at Baylor women's basketball, because anytime you have turnover at the top for a head coach, anytime they leave to take another job, you're able to have another coach step up from within the program. You can maintain that culture and kind of keep, in some sense, what you already had built. And so if you go from a new hire, you're kind of just starting from ground zero. We saw that with Baylor football. When Matt Rule left, they had a chance to keep Joe McGuire and went and got David Random. McGuire's still on staff, obviously, but there was more of a rebuild in some sense. They had to start over and get a whole new staff in place, and so that's hard to create a new culture, especially in the first year. So Messer would be my vote for sure.
I see T-Rex on the call line here. T-Rex, we'll get to you in 1 second. So this right here, the report says Kim Mulkey is bringing Johnny Derrick, Jennifer Roberts, Jordan Westbrook, Kaylin Rice, and Daphne Mitchell from her staff from Baylor to LSU. Mackenzie Fuller, Kim Mulkey's daughter, will be staying in Baylor.
Yep.
It looks like she will likely be out of the coaching game. It looks like she'll likely settle down with Clay, who's got a great job here in Waco, and that might be how Mackenzie ends up. Again, Bill Brock stayed in Waco yesterday. He's the current interim head coach now for Baylor. And then Satia Messer is a big name. It sounds like she'll get an interview for the job. However, she kind of tread water at Tennessee State. So with that, I had Tennessee State or Tennessee Tech. So the source I talked to last night, a Power 5 head coach, said her issue in the interview process will be the fact that she didn't put up insane numbers at her first school in the mid-major.
I think she won the Ohio Valley Conference, didn't she? She had some success.
Yeah. She had not that she didn't have any success, but she just kind of tread water to the point where it didn't work out in the end there for Messer. So that could hurt her in the process, especially if Adia Barnes, who the source said Adia Barnes would be a great hire from Arizona, or Joni Taylor from Georgia. Problem is, though, Joni Taylor is a Georgia Bulldog through and through. Yep. She's an alumnus. She's an alumna. Not only that, but her husband has worked for the Atlanta Dream for many years as a coach. So Joni Taylor at Georgia, she loves Georgia. I think it'd be really tough to pry her away from Georgia. Folks are like, oh, yeah, Joni Taylor.
Right.
Great fit, but I don't know if we're being reasonable and thinking about some of the logistics that would go into that.
I think Barnes is an equally difficult hire based on what Craig said yesterday on the afternoon show. He said Barnes is at her alma mater. I mean, we don't typically see people leave their alma mater. I think the hire makes sense from a wins and losses standpoint, but to get you to leave your alma mater is a tall order. Messer, I know she'd had, mediocre success. I know she won like Ohio Valley Conference and things of that nature. I don't pretend to be an expert on her coaching history, but I do know she was on staff for the last 8 years, which I think holds some weight. So, I mean, how much do you put into you being a head coach 8 years ago? I mean, it shows you've done the job. I'm sure you've learned a lot under Coach Mulkey. And I think that really is more of a chip to me, the fact that she was on staff, knows these players, knows these assistants, or not the assistants, knows this campus, knows Baylor. I think that really holds a lot of weight, and I would be excited for her to take over that job. So Taylor and Barnes obviously both would be great hires. I think they'll be, like you said, tougher to pry away from their current employers.
The best way to retain the players, like you mentioned, is to have Satia Messer as the next head coach. How will that work out in the long run? I don't ask Satia Messer, though, to come in and win a national championship. I don't think you can ask any coach to walk into this program and win a national championship. I will die on that hill that you cannot ask the next coach to win a championship, because following a legend is the toughest thing to do in sports.
Yeah. I got nervous for a second when you said you're going to die twice. I was like,
this
is not going to be good.
Dark.
This is not going to be good. But yeah, like you said, it's tough anytime you come in after a legendary head coach. I think the times we've seen it be successful is when coaches have retired and then pick their successor. But anytime you got to come in after another coach leaves, I mean, that's just tricky. I just said that's tricky when another coach leaves.
To rock around
the block.
We got T-Rex on the call line here. T-Rex, what's going on? I hope I didn't distract your train of thought there.
No. That's a good reference to our conversation the other day.
Yeah.
I just want to start off the show by congratulating the men's tennis team. I don't know. I caught y'all right after y'all started, so I don't know if y'all brought that up.
We did. Big 12 champs.
Tennis team. Yeah, 4-0 win over the Longhorns. We played them. That's now the fourth time this year. We beat them twice out of 3. Now we beat them 3 out of 4. Beat them in Austin, and we beat them in Waco. So we're Big 12 regular season co-champs with Texas and TCU, and that's okay. But we're Big 12 tournament champs undisputed. So shout out to Michael Woodson and his staff for, if you keep up with the tennis program, we lost a coach last year over some, potential controversial things. Woodson stepped up as the interim coach, and they never missed a step. So congratulations to a great team who, was on track to potentially, win the conference and possibly compete for a national title last year before COVID. Now they're right back. Everybody came back. So it's just like in any of the other sports. These guys made a commitment to come back to win a title. And we got 2 of 3 so far this year. So shout out to them. I believe they host the first 2 rounds of the playoffs in Waco. So if y'all can make it down, y'all do that. I'll be on the beach in Mexico drunk, so I won't be there. But anyways, Kim Mulkey, press conference, all that, we'll keep talking about it for a few days, I'm sure. That's what I have to say. It's very clear, at least in my mind, that this, like y'all said, has been stemming, it's been brewing. She herself came out and said it was a 10-minute conversation with the athletic director at LSU to convince her to come.
Yep.
So I believe, like you said, I believe what you said, that's the first I heard about the athletic director didn't have her on the list. But that makes sense just from given the circumstances. He's not stupid. He knows what she's going to cost.
Right.
To pry her away. He's an athletic director like anybody else. He's got to do his job. And he's not going to do something that's crazy. But obviously, it definitely seems like she did have an offer in hand when she did go to talk to Mac, based on the rumors that she went to talk to Mac and made those demands about the court and the arena. And I've heard she wanted a raise, even though she reported last year she made over $3 million in total compensation, which is more than Gino.
Also, T-Rex, I don't mean to cut off your train of point here, and I hate to do it, but Nelissa Smith did just tweet, all we know is adversity. We got something for y'all. Believe that. Hashtag Y4, which I can only assume means year 4. And if you're a Baylor Lady Bear fan, that bodes well, especially after I just mentioned the topic where she might go follow Kim Mulkey. That bodes well if Nelissa Smith's saying, we got something, believe that, year 4.
So she's not as good as gone.
Not as good as gone. That's good news.
As good as here, baby.
T-Rex, sorry about that.
No, you're good. No, because I was going to actually get to that point. I didn't see her tweet, but I wasn't going to bring up because y'all mentioned her. But let me finish this real quick.
Yeah.
I definitely agree. It was, it was a power move. She's a businesswoman. She's in her job, just like any of us, you got to do what's best for you. She thought that she needed more things. That's what she wanted. But I think that she had years of, almost 20 years with other athletic directors who did give her literally everything she wanted. And Mac Rhodes put his foot down. Kim Mulkey walked into his office to play a game of checkers, and Mac Rhodes is a grandmaster at chess. So called the bluff, and, we got to move on. I trust Mac Rhodes to do what's right. So good luck at LSU. We'll see you retired in probably like 5 years when you realize that you're not the queen there. Or their programs completely get shut down because the FBI is investigating all that.
Yeah.
Now, their athletic director is probably going to be in jail pretty soon. So, anyways, Melissa Smith, I will say this. Per what I've seen, from I became friends with people that are close to her, follow them on Twitter, and I saw a tweet this morning that, really alluded to, or somebody retweeted a tweet that really alluded to frustration potentially with her usage, at least in the UConn game.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people noticed that she didn't get fed the ball at the end. She's the best player on the team. She's an All-American, and she didn't get fed the ball. So there might have been some potential frustration already. I'm not saying that she would have ever transferred out. But I think maybe there's potential frustration there that now your coach leaves and maybe you already had a chip on your shoulder about how you were used. So why not just stay here and prove that you can do it without her? I don't know. I'm pulling a rabbit out of a hat. But if that tweet, it all starts to line up. Things happen. We'll see. I love Melissa Smith. I've said at games with her brother when we were living in Kansas. He's a great guy. Supports his sister awesome. He's fun to watch games with. I'd hate to see her transfer out. She's my favorite player on the current team, maybe besides Caitlin Pickell because she's got an awesome TikTok, but that's besides the point. But, if she leaves or anybody else leaves, that's their decision. We'll fill it in with great players. We're a Power 5 program. We compete for championships, and I think, Mac Rhodes is going to do what he has to do. I would love our coaches to stay. I think that Brock, if he's the interim, I don't think that he is going to pursue trying to be the head coach. I believe he's a little older than Kim. I think his family all lives close, so I don't think he would follow her to LSU.
I
think he may just end up retiring.
Yep, I agree.
But if Nestor doesn't get it and she wants to go to LSU, by all means, if there's a spot for her, go further your career. But I do agree with the continuity, and that's a good reference to the football program. I think keeping Joey on the football program at least helped in that regard. So we'll see what happens. Like I said, I've said it a million times. I trust Mac Rhodes. I trust Linda. Shout out to Linda. I don't know if Mac was there, but Linda was, with her husband at the tennis match yesterday and on Sunday. Despite all this craziness, she's still out there supporting our other athletes. What some would say is definitely less important than the women's basketball program issues. But hey, we got great president, we got great athletic director, we got great leadership across the board. Maybe not the Board of Regents. That's a different topic. But, SicEm Bears, it's Tuesday. The sky still hasn't fallen. It is looking a little gloomy, but, Kim's gone. She's officially at LSU. We're still Baylor Bears.
Got to move on.
I don't know about y'all, but I was a Baylor fan before Kim was here. So
there we go.
T-Rex, I got
it. Did, but we're going to win.
There it is.
T-Rex got some Bear Games questions of the day for you. Question 1. Who is your A1 replacement if you could hire anybody out there for Kim Mulkey?
Oh, it'd be Gino, but that's unrealistic, but it would be Gino.
And what's your realistic hire?
We would pay him. We have the money. It wouldn't be a money issue.
No, it wouldn't be a money issue. We have the biggest women's basketball budget in the country.
Is that a fact?
That's
Okay,
a fact.
interesting. There we go.
So,
Rock and
T-Rex, yes. So your next head coach, if you had to hire a head coach, who are you going after here?
I don't even follow men's basketball that closely outside of Baylor, so I don't know a lot of names. But, that Georgia hire, just based on what I've heard about her,
Joni
how
Taylor.
she would fit the culture. Yeah, Joni Taylor, I think she would be a good fit culture-wise, for sure. But I don't know anything about like her coaching, pedigree. So it's just, I'm not gonna sit here and act like I'm an expert in women's basketball coaches. So
yeah. Well,
I'll leave that up to y'all to provide me that information. You feed me and I eat it.
Along with that, T-Rex, if you could hire one former Lady Bear to be an assistant on the staff, who would it be?
Oh, that's hard. Maybe Sophia Young.
Okay.
Or Nina Davis, either one of them. I think they both had electric personalities while they were at Baylor. Nina Davis a little younger, more recent memories, but both champions. So I think either of them, could bring a lot of spark to the program. And, I think, players can relate to them maybe better than some of these coaches that, are a lot older.
Lock it in. Hey, T-Rex, thanks for your call.
Hey, thank you for taking it, as always. SicEm Bears, up tempo, never down.
There it is.
Never down.
Never down.
Let's get to a couple of these texts right here. We've got Scotty B. the Baylor King this morning said, I'd honestly go after Satia Messer to help keep players, but there's so many good coaches out there, including the list from yesterday on the afternoon show. That was Paul Catalina's top 5 at 5:55. Really good stuff. If you haven't watched that on YouTube yet, go watch that on YouTube. Download the SicEm365 app. You can find the bet. Look, if you're listening on Facebook right now, you don't have to do it to yourself. Download the SicEm365 app, hit listen, hit watch, go to YouTube, put it on your TV, and you can watch that way as well.
There's a download link on the website.
Damn.
There's a download link. Go freaking tap that thing.
So, yeah, you also have a couple of these coming in here. Says Marshall Burns, good morning, champions. How about those Baylor Bears? I think they have you have to lean towards Satia Messer.
Yep.
It's hard to pass on that blue chip recruit pipeline and familiarity. I'll support whoever. Satia Messer is the recruiter. She is the master recruiter on Kim Mulkey's staff, and it'd be a Mark Adams type hire at Texas Tech on the men's side for those that want something that compares. This right here, it's hard to pass on the blue chip recruiter. I'll support whoever. I think the level of support overall is earned. Though she's the toughest to replace. I mean, she's Mount Rushmore level for her sport. Kim Mulkey is Mount Rushmore level for women's basketball. And how do you replace a Mount Rushmore coach, especially when they're still active?
Mm-hmm. And to revisit the Satia Messer conversation, upon further review, she was Ohio Valley Conference Coach of the Year in 2011. So she's had some success at a lower level. I know we're not putting too much stock into wins and losses at a mid-major like Tennessee Tech, but still, I mean, she's shown that she can do it. She was on staff for 8 years. I'm Team Satia Messer. Let's make it happen, huh? Satia, if you're watching, we'll talk about it. We'll get you the papers. We'll write it up here on Uptempo. We'll do it live. It'll be great. Me and Drake will draft it for you.
Like you mentioned, for continuity purposes, keeping Satia Messer in-house would be the perfect thing to do from a recruiting standpoint, especially. Garland Bear 84 says, for my LSU booster friend, LSU has plans for a $100 million arena to hold 12 to 13,000. It's next to Tiger Stadium. The PMAC was built in 46. 2.5 to 3 years later until they build that. This here says, Nalissa Smith said year 4 on Twitter account 20 minutes ago, that from Jimmy B. So as we talked about, we read that tweet off of there, that Nalissa Smith will likely be coming back based off of that Twitter post so far from what we've seen from her. But this, a lot to unpack in here from Brandon.
Hear it.
This says, I want to give you this, I'm going to read the text in full, and then we'll unpack.
Let's hear it.
This says, there is no heat off of Mac. This was him. She wasn't happy. Her boss clearly didn't make her feel welcome anymore. He didn't push. She was just made uncomfortable, so she left. This was a fight that wasn't about one thing, the arena. That was the straw that broke her back. This was a fight that wasn't about one thing, the arena. That was the straw that broke her back. She'll have an AD that 100% has her back. Matt could not handle her. This was his failure to adapt to one of the greatest coaches in women's basketball. As for the mask, she's playing to her base. That's a lot of Baylor's base too.
Wow. Okay. So we've already confirmed that this wasn't something that she was pushed out. She came to him. So it was Kim Mulkey approaching Mac Rhodes.
He says that, right.
So Kim Mulkey could have effectively just been happy making $2.3 million, which is as much as the UT athletic director. She's going to get a new stadium. She was going to be involved in, I think there was talks. I can't confirm this. I don't know what is or isn't confirmed, but there was talks from what I understand of her being, I think she had the name to the court is what I thought I heard. I don't want to speak. I think I'm speculating there. I don't want to say what is or isn't confirmed, so I don't want to be irresponsible there, but I understood that was like something that was being talked about. You can only push so long to where someone's going to say, okay, we can't meet all your demands. I don't know what those all were, but you can't meet all of them. And again, true to Kim Mulkey fashion, we have known her to not be the most, should I say, gentle communicator. Multiple times we have seen her be someone who is like, hey, my way or the highway, whether it's with the media, whether it's with administration. We've seen this time. So this is not a new thing. So you can only imagine Linda Livingstone and Mac Rhodes, from what we understand, are pretty reasonable people, like pretty level-headed, even keel, good people. Not to say that Kim Mulkey isn't a good person, but Mac Rhodes and Linda Livingstone, I trust their judgment. So the fact that they were both like, hey, we can't meet you where you're at. I'm sorry. We wish we could. We can't. And so for Kim Mulkey to be like, okay, well, I'm out. That feels a little bit childish to me. That feels, I don't want to come in too hot, but I think it's a little bit of like hey, I deserve more. When I understand you deserve more. You've done great. Like you said, if you're to give the metaphor of, okay, I'm an employee, I've done well at my job, you also are losing millions. Like you can only act as expensive as you are able to be. You know what I'm saying?
I don't want to compare here, but that is the thing. If a football coach is winning 4 or 5 national championships, if Nick Saban comes in and says, I want you to name the stadium after me, which he wouldn't, that says a lot. Mm-hmm. But if he came in and said, I want you to name the stadium after me, I want you to do this, and this, you've probably got to appease that for the revenue's sake. That's a very tough spot to be put in. But you're in a situation where I get it. I will say, again, Kim Mulkey deserves all the respect in the world for building Baylor athletics into what it is today, but you're in a situation right now where, as an athletic director, you also can bend, but you cannot break. Mm-hmm. You cannot break. That at some point you have to put your foot down and say, okay, hey, I'm the AD. We got to do things a certain way around here. And again, I have my trust in Mac Rhodes with this. Did he do a lot to keep Kim Mulkey? You tell me. She was making almost $3 million combined.
Yes.
So does that say anything? Like literally, how much can you ask until it's, hey, we're putting Baylor, Mac Rhodes was putting more money into women's basketball than any program in the country. And we're going to complain about how Mac Rhodes handled the situation. Does that say is anybody following me here? For those that are really supporting Kim Mulkey here, I think there's a way to support both parties in saying Kim Mulkey felt undervalued, and that's understandable. But Mac Rhodes did more than enough to keep a women's basketball coach and did more than what most athletic directors would do, those that just pass it off and don't even talk, that don't care about women's basketball. Mac showed he cared about women's basketball.
I feel like that's the mic drop right
there.
Look
at the paycheck.
You put, men line, women line numbers don't, right? I mean, that's the mic drop to me. We put more money than any program into women's basketball, which I didn't know before this show. I think that really is just like, hey, nobody else is giving you support that we're giving you. Okay, so you can go to LSU, you can go to UConn, you can go to Stanford. We are giving you the most money. So if you want to go somewhere where you feel more appreciated, go to LSU where they have 2,000 fans. That's fine. They're not even in the top 50 in attendance. Baylor is in the top 10. So you want to feel appreciated by your fan base? Come at Baylor. You want to feel like you're getting monetarily what you deserve? Baylor's taking care of you there. So
go to Baylor.
There's things where I'm like, what are you really asking for at this point that you feel like you really are just getting gypped that other coaches are getting? Right. So it's got to be a comparison with other sport. You got to look at other coaches, right? Like that's got to be the thing that she's feeling upset about.
One of the things that was put on the forum last night, and again, I encourage you strongly to join the SicEm365 forum. I mean, there is something there with the forum that there's a lot of inside information that Brian Etheridge, Colt Barber, Ashley Hodge, and the like, David Smoak, constantly posting inside sourced information about the coaching search and about why Kim Mulkey's gone. There's a lot of inside information on the forum right here. One of these says that, hey, I think Kim will regret this decision. I think she had a real shot for another national championship and a chance to eventually retire on top, and she blew it.
Yeah.
And that might be where this goes, because it's going to be a different animal at LSU when you're not the king of the hill.
Yeah.
There's no way to be the king of the hill. It's going to be the 4th or 5th, 6th sport on the totem pole at Louisiana State University. Softball's above it. Baseball's above it. Men's basketball's above it. Football's above it. I mean, hell, volleyball could have a hell of a year and then be above it if they win a title or something. You know, that's just the nature of the beast in the SEC. Also, the mask thing, she's playing to her audience.
Right.
She doesn't have to.
Right.
She doesn't have to play to her audience. They love her.
Yeah. That was the biggest thing going on. And credit to her and LSU. I mean, I did not think that she was going to receive the welcome she did. She had the governor of Louisiana in the front row. If that shows you anything, she was the big ticket yesterday. Will she be the big ticket going forward? I really don't think so. You don't think so. Anyone that follows LSU women's basketball doesn't think so. But it really is just kind of mind-blowing that she decided to leave when the thing was built to continue to win.
Right.
Like she was primed. If you want to be if you're legacy chasing, right? I get you can go to another school and win another one, and that's something no one's ever done before. But you want to talk about just counting rings, Baylor was set to win a couple more. This thing was built to continue to win. She had a pipeline. She had a brand. She made Baylor a blue blood. Like Baylor was self-built by Kim Mulkey to be a blue blood program in women's college basketball. And that's something that I think is worth a lot. And it's sad to see that she walked away from that because I think there was more to be done there. I think there was more gas in the tank that we're just always going to question, what if she'd stayed? How many more would she win? What would she have done? And so I think that's going to be something we're looking at for a long time, especially if this LSU experiment goes south.
Yeah. I see Steven on there, and I see G-Dub as well. We're going to get to a couple of these texts right here. We've got this texter says, from Baylor, 1984, Kim has told the players not to make any rash decisions on their future until they meet with the new coach first. Thought that was nice of Kim to say that. I do. If that is true, which I would not be surprised at all if that's true, if Kim said that to her players, that would be a very good continuity move. That would bode well for Baylor and would say a lot about Kim Mulkey and her. And I do think she has an affinity and appreciation for Baylor. Mm-hmm. I just think this situation was mishandled by different people.
Yeah.
Ryan from Irving says Kalani Brown for an assistant. Barnes from Arizona would be my pick. I love Adia Barnes. The coach that I had that I called last night, he said Adia Barnes should be the A1.
Yeah.
Should be the A1 coach on that list for Baylor to hire. And I think Adia Barnes, what she's done at Arizona, again, someone commented that she's an alumna. That would be tough to pull her away from Arizona if that's the case, and I'll look that up here in a second. Mm-hmm. This says Satia Messer is an excellent recruiter, but let's not forget that she was an assistant recruiting girls to come play for the GOAT. So it's not, it kind of recruits for itself when Kim Mulkey's the head coach.
Right. I think the fact that Alyssa Smith, just speaking to the transfer piece a little bit, the fact that Alyssa Smith, your best player, I'm assuming your leader in that locker room, is saying, hey, I'm going to run it back for another year. I would think if it were going to be an exodus, it would be a mass exodus of players that were going to say, hey, we want to follow Coach Mulkey, finish what we started here, and go do it at LSU. The fact that Alyssa Smith is staying, that's a mouthful to say, Alyssa Smith is staying, I think that's going to set a tone for a lot of other people saying, hey, we're going to stick with Alyssa. She's pretty good. We probably win a few games with Alyssa. I think we're going to stay around. So I think that really is going to be a little bit of a tone setter with the rest of this transfer process. Not to say they won't lose anybody, but that gives me a lot of confidence that more people are going to stay than maybe we originally thought.
A couple of these comments on here as well. Eddie Middlebrook says Joni. Dave Tinley says Joni. Graham says Becky Hammond, the assistant for the Spurs. Oh, boy, it'd take an arm and a leg to get her, but that'd be insane.
We'd throw another parade.
We would throw a parade to get Becky Hammond at Baylor.
Yeah.
Ryan Moy says, I like Messer and Taylor, but I feel like Mac goes for surprises. Mac does go for Matt Rule. Talk Matt Rule. Leanne Huckabee says Satia Messer. Dylan Allen says she will pull Texas players like LSU football does year in, year out for Kim at LSU in recruiting. Amy Disney says no one can replace a legend like Coach Mulkey. Dylan Allen says, how long until crazy matchups between Kim Mulkey and Dawn Staley at South Carolina take off? I don't think that's going to take very long. She's going to the caliber of SEC coaching just got crazy.
Yeah. She's going to have work cut out for her in that regular season compared to what she was doing with the Big 12. Like, she's going to have some battles now when it comes to the regular season SEC play.
Rick says, you guys don't know what you're talking about. And when Baylor plays LSU, I'll be rooting for LSU. Rick, I'm sorry there, my friend. I'm sorry. Somebody says, what are you talking about, these demands that Kim Mulkey made to Baylor? Well, it has come out. It has now come out that Kim Mulkey said she wanted the court. It has come out that Kim wanted the court and that she was unhappy with the placement of the arena.
Yeah.
Both of those things have been sourced and gone public, that Kim Mulkey said, hey, I have these X demands, that Mac said, okay, that's a line that we're not willing to cross.
Here's what I'm going to say. Who's paying for it? Like, where are you getting this money? It's not from the women's college basketball team. I'll just say that. It's not from the Lady Bears. If it was, maybe we're talking about it. You mentioned Nick Saban. If Nick Saban says, hey, I want to put the new stadium in Narnia, you're saying, okay, Nick, well, you brought in all of the money for that, so you probably have some say. If you're Kim Mulkey, you've been great at your job. You won 3 national titles, but where's the return on the investment? You're losing millions of dollars. It's not her fault. It's women's college basketball's fault, but that just in turn probably eliminates you from some of this discussion. Like, I understand why she's upset, but at the same time, dollars and cents kind of tell the story here. I don't like you can't dictate what you want when you're not bringing in the piece of the pie that you're asking to have, oversight for. It's not fair.
This says, speak for yourself. Kim will be the queen of Louisiana.
I hope so.
I got big news for you. When the king, which is college football, is as big as the king is, tough to have a queen. There's Queen Elizabeth.
Yeah.
And there's Prince Philip.
Yeah.
Who just passed away.
I think so. Prince Philip II.
So let's pretend we're 3 weeks in the past and we make this metaphor.
I don't get it.
So Queen Elizabeth, she's the queen. Granted, there's a prince, right? But no one cares because there's the queen. And there's the king in Louisiana, which is college football, and Ed Orgeron on a national championship and Joe Burrow. So the queen, maybe Kim Mulkey is a princess or queen in Louisiana, but follow the metaphor here. She's never going to be the king. She's always going to be overshadowed by other sports in Louisiana. So the chance for her to be the face of the state, the face of a program, the face of a university, she has been that at Baylor for 2 decades.
Yeah.
You're not going to get that in Louisiana. If that's why Kim Mulkey left, to be the face of LSU sports, I'm sorry.
It's tough. And I think the thing that I'm encouraged by within the Baylor fan base, for the most part, I could be having a pulse that's off here, but the pulse that I've gotten is Baylor fans generally want to see her do well. They're upset she left, but I don't think anybody's actively rooting against her at LSU. All the calls we've gotten to say, hey, good riddance, but, we hope you do well at LSU. I don't think anybody wishes, bad upon Kim Mulkey. I think we all want to see her win at LSU, and that'd be awesome. And that also would make, her time at Baylor even more historic and a part of, all the great things she did here. But I don't think anybody's wishing that Kim Mulkey has failure, but we all are scratching our heads and saying this was kind of a you move, right? Like this was kind of in Kim Mulkey's best interest for Kim, by Kim. With Kim. I don't know if that's
nice.
Does that work?
We got a couple of callers to get to here. Before we get to those, I want to read off two of these texts. Ryan says, is there a coach in the conference y'all be happy to see take the job? I would say either Vic Schaefer, obviously. Vic Schaefer's obviously the A1. Bill Fennelly at Iowa State, I really like. I think Bill Fennelly could do a solid job at Baylor. And then maybe if I'm going to go just like a wild card here, it would be Reagan Pebley from TCU. So that's possible in there. This right here, I want to address this before we get to these two callers, and I want you to help me out here. It says, I've been a huge Baylor fan for nearly 20 years due to Kim Mulkey, which I find interesting. I find very interesting when people say, hey, I'm a Baylor fan, but because of Kim Mulkey. So then are you a Baylor fan or are you a Kim Mulkey fan? And I don't want to throw any shade because there are great legendary coaches that have their own fan bases.
Sure.
That's true.
Okay.
This says she did have the opportunity to win more championships, no doubt. Due to her ability to recruit and her work ethics, I promise that'll be the case at LSU. That's true.
Okay.
Here, quit trying to make it look like she was hard to manage and upset with Baylor. She left solely to come back to her roots. And I can tell you, that's not true.
I was going to say that's not true at all.
That's not true. That she was upset with Baylor. She didn't leave solely to come back to her roots. There were things that Kim Mulkey was upset with.
Yeah.
100%. That has been sourced and proven, period.
Yes. Which is all of a sudden on the heels of the men winning the national title, which doesn't look good.
Is that a
which
coincidence?
Doesn't look good. If it is, it's a very shady coincidence. Where there's smoke, there's fire. So, your feet are speaking so loud I can't hear a word you're saying, Kim Mulkey. And I'm not a Kim Mulkey hater, but let's look at the facts here. It wasn't about coming home. It was never about coming home.
That may be part of it, underlying reason.
Yeah, I'm sure it's like, hey, you could go anywhere else besides Baylor. Where are you going to go? She's probably, anyone would go home, right? Like, that makes sense. But this thing was built to win. She was going to have a great legacy. She was going to continue to make history. And also, she was winning a lot before this. Like, this is not the most natural time to leave. Like, if there was a time to leave, it could have been years ago. It could have been during the scandal in 2017. That would have been a natural time to leave. Hey, black eye for Baylor. I'm going to dip out. That would have made more sense to me. Right now, it's, hey, we were a game away from the Final Four. We're going to keep winning. We have a lot of solid players, a solid base here. And she decides to go.
A lot of talent coming back. We got Stephen from Virginia. I saw you were on the Impact, or you were on the caller line there for a while. What's going on, Stephen?
Hey, guys. Can you all hear me?
Loud and clear.
Yep. All right. So I just want to speak to the people who think that Kim Mulkey left just to go home to Louisiana. Y'all listen to this program. Y'all have too easy access to SicEm365 to continue spitting out misinformation. I would say that on the topic of Coach Mulkey, in my opinion, she had turned into Bobby Knight at the end of Indiana. And there's nothing more that you can point to than that press conference where she's mad about the no call, talking about, like it doesn't give you big Bobby Knight, I'll handle this how I want to handle this now that I'm here vibes. Coach Mulkey, and watching that whole thing, there wasn't much joy in that. So I really say as a person who takes personally the Christian message of our university, Kim has been saying things, and I can't blame Mac for being annoyed with her when she comes out and says whatever she wants to, chooses to all the time. I mean, we aren't that far removed from her talking about we don't have to test anymore at the NCAA, and she says things like this all the time. And I have to say that if I had that big of a mouth and if I was costing my boss that big of a budget decrease, and I came to him and said, well, there's another hardwood flooring company that wants to offer me, unless you put my name on the side of the trailer, he'd tell me, go take that job. You're costing me money. I will gladly take somebody else. So I can't be upset at Mac Rhoades. Mac Rhoades has arguably saved this university in the last few years with everything that's gone on. So those are my quick thoughts. I hope Coach has the success she's looking for. I've heard T-Rex say this, doesn't look like she was that happy here. So I hope she's happy. And on that note, I'm ready for Bear Games.
Wow, Bear Games question today. If you had one coach you could hire, Stephen, at Baylor, who would it be?
This is one that not many people are bringing up, but I like the University of Maryland coach. She's been named National Coach of the Year. She's won a national championship. That's the kind of caliber move that Baylor can make. This is a home run job, so it requires a home run hire. The first person I'd be calling is someone who has national championship experience, who isn't at Stanford, UConn, or Notre Dame or South Carolina. Someone who can be pried away.
Brenda Fries. I've seen a lot of her stuff. I like Brenda Fries a lot. That'd be a great hire. Steven, if you could hire one former women's player to be on staff, who would it be?
Nina Davis, and that's not a hard question to answer.
Okay.
She's on the staff at Middle Tennessee State. I was real impressed with her interview yesterday, and she was my favorite player when she was here. So, and another candidate that I'd look for the head coaching opportunity is y'all just mentioned the head coach at TCU. Those are the ones that I'd like.
I like it. Thanks for your call, Steven.
Later, guys.
See you, Steve.
Cynthia Cooper-Dyke is also on there. The folks are putting the name in the hat. She is the current head coach at Texas Southern, the Lady Tigers. She played at USC back when USC was dominant, and had a great career in the WNBA. She coached at USC, has been at Texas Southern twice now, had a pretty good coaching career. So maybe she's somebody that Baylor ends up going after as well. Stephen, thanks for your call as always. What do you kind of some thoughts? I mean, that's very pointed, I guess, Stephen. And Stephen's right. For those that question Mac Rhoades right now, Baylor football was on the brink of effectively the social death penalty.
Yes.
They weren't going to be taken off, but they were on the brink of becoming Kansas, if not for Mac Rhoades making the perfect hire.
Yeah, they were under the gun, and I will die on that hill as well. Matt Rule was the exact thing that Baylor football needed at that time. You needed someone who was going to be hard on discipline, hard on doing things the right way, which is something that all coaches should be hard on, but the way that Matt Rule went about that was exactly the right hire for Baylor football at that time. So I think that just shows the awareness of Mac Rhoades with his athletic programs. Like, he knows what his programs need at the right time. So I'm fully confident he'll do the same thing with this hire with the women's basketball program. Whether it's in-house or not remains to be seen. I would vote in-house. That's just me, and that's probably the way I'll side for most hires, whether it's men's, women's basketball, football, croquet, tennis. I want to have the in-house hire 9 times out of 10. But, I mean, I trust Mac Rhoades. That's what it comes down to. I trust Mac Rhoades. I think you do too.
Got another caller on the line here. Hey, caller, our caller ID messed up. Will you tell us who you are, where you're from?
This Easton Lindrum from South Waco, Texas.
Easton, what's going on, my man? How you feeling today about Kim Mulkey not being a Baylor?
Man, I just want to put some things out there. I want to start off, I'm glad y'all mentioned the football stuff from a few years ago. Because if anybody know anything about Baylor, it was 2 things. Basketball coaches were set in stone, and we didn't know what the heck was going to happen with football. You feel me?
Yeah, that's true.
So, everybody keeps saying Kim Mulkey was costing the team, but let's not remember, Art Browse gets there, right? We have our Mount Rushmore with football, right? Then that all collapses. But what doesn't collapse? Matter of fact, what went 40-0? Kim Mulkey.
Yeah, 2012 women's basketball.
Brittany Griner.
Who had Sweet 16 runs throughout his whole career almost, besides probably 2 years, Scott Drew and Kim Mulkey.
Yep.
Right? So when it comes to Baylor as a whole, don't get me wrong, football runs America.
Right.
When it comes to the collegiate level.
Sure.
Okay? So that's out the question. But when it comes to Baylor University, Waco, Texas, and I can say this wholeheartedly, I knew for a fact, and I actually know Juicy Landrum, so I knew this for a fact. Baylor University basketball ladies, Lady Bears, was going to do something. I was going to go watch a game or two. You feel me?
Yeah.
So whatever the situation was between Kim Mulkey and our athletic director, you have to understand how much she's getting paid doesn't matter. How much she didn't get paid doesn't matter. At the end of the day, people didn't know Baylor until Coach Mulkey won the championship.
I agree.
I'm going to push back.
I agree.
I'm going to push back on that. I hear you, but I'm going to disagree with you. But move absolutely.
Didn't know Baylor. 2005 Baylor national championship. It's like, oh, who's this green and gold school? Who's this green and gold school? Kim Mulkey has handedly brought more hardware, attention, and media and money to Baylor University since Art Browse and before then. And I'll be honest with you. You doing all this for a school, and they don't want to give you what you want, okay, cool. Probably not the best decision to make business-wise, but, hey, ain't nothing like home. You can't blame her for going home. She went home, guys.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
21 years since she goes home. You can't be mad at that.
Yeah. Easton, I agree with you in the sense that her 3 titles did a lot for the Baylor brand. She was obviously a bright light in a really dark time around 2005 and continuing forward throughout the other scandal Baylor had. 100% agree. I will push back on saying that 2005 was what put Baylor solely on the map. Look at the ratings. There was 4 million people watching that game. So to put that in perspective, 1600 Penn is a pilot that was put out by, I think it was Fox or NBC. That pilot failed. 5 million people watched that. So there was less people watching the women's national championship game when Baylor won than when 1600 Penn failed as a pilot. Also, American Idol has 6 million viewers, which is nobody watches American Idol anymore.
So
that's an interesting fact.
I would say, Easton, we're in a situation where, and we mentioned this earlier on the show, if a football coach made these demands, the football coach is bringing in $30 or $40 million based on the revenue and media attention every year, that this would probably be a much different story. You're in a situation where Kim Mulkey, I firmly believe, and I'll disagree with JD on this, I believe I'm with you. I think Kim Mulkey built Baylor athletics, that she built it into a national powerhouse. That said, women's basketball loses between $3 to $6 million a year just at Baylor alone. So it's really tough to keep the demands of a coach that you're paying almost $3 million when their respective sport is losing the university money in return. Yeah. That it's tough to have those kind of demands, when that's your.
I hear that part, but I got one more question for my phone for the doc. When you hire a head coach, what do you hire them to do? What are you paying them to do? Win.
Yes, sir.
Was Kim Mulkey winning?
She was.
Yes.
Okay. You hire her, say, Kim Mulkey, we need you to come in here and win. Since day one, Kim Mulkey's came in there and won. So there should not be too much that she don't have a say-so or a hand on when she single-handedly built your program. And not just the basketball program either.
Yeah.
As a woman head coach. So, I feel like, hey, Baylor missed out on. You don't let a Hall of Famer walk out like that and then go coach for another team. You can't do that and expect the due diligence of the fans to not worry. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's a bad look.
Hey, we got to hope, like you say, in-house can stand up. But if not, Baylor Bears will still be Bear Country, and it's SicEm from anywhere to everywhere. And I hope she has a great rest of her career. And I will be buying some LSU attire. They're not in the Big 12. I'm not gonna lie. I will buy an LSU shirt. But thank y'all for having me on.
Easton, thank you very much for bringing your opinion to the show. We needed that. I love to hear it from all sides. Thank you for doing that.
Brought some juice. Brought some facts.
Sweet. Easton, call us back sometime. That was good. That was good. I think he mentioned, and that's another great point that people make. He's a Hall of Fame coach.
Yeah.
Hall of Fame coach just walked. From the outside looking in, what does that make your program look like? What do you look like on a national scale?
I think if it's Coach K walking, you're like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Millions of dollars is walking out the door with Coach K. With Kim Mulkey, the program's probably losing less money than an average school or an average women's basketball program. But I have a hard time getting behind the idea that we're letting her walk, that Mac Rose just said, all right, get out of here then. I think he said, Kim Mulkey, this is what we can do for you. We can't meet all of your needs. You actually work for us, so we can't get down to exactly every single thing that you want. which I think is probably what any boss would do, especially given the circumstances. So Mack Rhoades didn't force Kim Mulkey out. Kim Mulkey didn't just walk out of there without anyone trying to keep her. I think that's a narrative that needs to stop right here, right now. Mack Rhoades wanted Kim Mulkey at Baylor, from what I understand. Why would you not want one of the best coaches in history at Baylor? But the fact that they couldn't match up on some things makes it very hard for you to stay. I mean, that's just. I mean, they both had their deal breakers, and he left. That's what it is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's only so much pushback. It's tough.
Yeah.
It's very tough in situations like this to appease all parties involved and still be an athletic director that you are. You are the athletic director. Here we go. We've got G-Dub on the phone line here. G-Dub, we got to roll pretty quick. Thanks for holding on so long.
Matt, yeah, I just like what JD said about and I was fixing to tweet y'all about that, about what she said about her, about year 4 going to go crazy. She's such a strong, I know her a little bit. She's such a strong personality person that, like you said, not everybody's going to stay, but the majority of them are going to stay, depending just because of her, because she's such a strong personality.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. That's your leader. Yeah.
I liked what Steven said about Becky Hammon. I mean, because you don't know, because from being a Spurs fan myself, you don't know when Pop is going to hang. He probably should have hung it up about 2-3 years ago, but he's still going. So in her mind, she's probably thinking, when am I going to get the chance? And coming back to a college like Baylor would probably be the perfect fit for her.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. I just don't know if that's really her career track. So it'd be spectacular to have a coach of that caliber. I just don't think that's her career track necessarily. What else you got for us here real quick, G-Dub?
This is my rank for the quarterbacks from the spring game, like from each quarterback. It would have to go Gary, Chapin, Drones, Zeno. Zeno did not have a good day.
He did not. We'll talk about that with Grayson Gruntafer coming up at 12:30 on the big board. G-Dub, thanks for your call, man. Who's your new women's basketball coach at Baylor? Who's your A1 you think Baylor needs to go after?
A1, I like the Maryland coach or the Arizona coach.
Yep, I do too. I'm glad we're throwing Maryland in the hat. And then former player you bring on staff?
Oh, yeah, Steven hit it on the head. Nina Davis for sure.
Without a doubt. Not a tough question.
No Brittany Griner love.
Nothing
for Brittany Griner? Really?
She's still playing. She's still got a playing career.
She's still playing.
Yeah, she could still come back and coach. Yeah, we don't want her to come back and coach.
She got a playing career right now. Let her finish that.
I thought we could have anybody.
That's also true. G-Dub, thanks for your call, man.
Yes, sir.
All right, we got Dead or Alive today. Happy Tuesday, everybody.
Bam.
We play games on this show every day. When we come back from Dead or Alive, and then we're going to hit a commercial break after that, Bruce Gietzen, the voice of the Baylor Lady Bears, is going to join our show today and talk to us about the Kim Mulkey situation. Bruce is going to tell us his insight on what is going on with Kim Mulkey. Again, he's the voice of the Lady Bears. But before that, we have Celebrity Dead or Alive. Cue the music, Cole. Armstrong, you ready?
Oh, boy. This is where it goes down.
Number 1, Porter Wagner. Porter Wagner is a producer. He is a performer. Porter Wagner related. He was good, but he has been good buddies, I guess I should say, with old Dolly Parton. Dead or alive? Porter Wagner.
Let's say dead.
Dead?
Alive.
Alive.
Cole, you got one?
Cole?
He says he's not hot.
No, Cole, you look pretty good today. Cole, you look pretty good today.
You're a hot dude, Cole.
Porter Wagner, Cole. Porter Wagner, dead or alive? Dead? Well, he is dead. Porter Wagner's dead. Would have been 94. Sammy Hagar, the legendary guitarist Sammy Hagar. Is he dead or alive today?
Let's say Sammy Hagar is dead.
Classic rock guitar. Alive. Cole? He's alive.
There we go,
Cole
Sammy.
is correct. Sammy Hagar, if you're watching out there, happy 73rd year of your life.
There you go.
John Rice Davies. He is from Lord of the Rings and Indiana Jones. Is he dead or alive?
Who does he play?
Wait, who?
I have no idea.
What's his name?
John Rice Davies. Don't ask me questions about.
Is he? Is he an actor, producer?
Yeah, he's an actor.
Let's say he's alive.
Oh, we have an alive.
Dead.
Let's say he's alive.
Dead?
Dead.
He is alive. John Rice Davis, 76 years old today. Bill Walsh, legendary 49ers head coach Bill Walsh, dead or alive today?
He's dead.
Dead?
Shout out to the homie, though. He's dead. I love Bill Walsh.
Dead.
West Coast offense, man.
He is dead. Would have been 90.
Gosh, cool.
Mary Lou Retton, legendary gymnast, dead or alive?
Ooh, Mary Lou Retton. I'm gonna say she's dead.
Dead.
Or
Armstrong.
I hope she's alive.
Mary Lou Retton, legendary gymnast. Got to go quick.
Alive.
Alive? She's alive. Mary Lou Retton, 54 today. Sam Walton, founder of Walmart, dead or alive?
Ooh, alive.
That's actually a good one. Alive.
He's dead. Would have been 103 from Bentonville, Arkansas. Sam Walton. Stephen Hawking. Stephen Hawking, dead or alive? Dead?
Ooh, died recently, right?
I think he died recently.
Dead.
He is dead. Stephen Hawking would have been 76 today. Daryl Hall from Hall & Oates.
Daryl Hall from Hall & Oates. I've never seen Hall & Oates.
Yeah, I'd say alive.
Let's say alive.
It's a band. He's alive. He's 72. Last but not least, Armand Hammer, founder of, guess what?
Arm
and Hammer.
No
Literally,
way.
his name's Armand Hammer.
So
I'm going to say dead.
Cole says dead. I say alive.
He's dead. Would have been 123 years old today.
Man.
Armand Hammer,
Right
founder
there.
of Arm and Hammer. That's terrible.
That's hysterical.
I'm Drake Toll. It's J.D. Pickell, Armstrong, Sims, Cole in studio today. When we come back from this break, Bruce Gietzen, the voice of the Baylor Lady Bears, joins the show to talk about Kim Mulkey and her departure, his insight, giving exclusive information on what he knows about the situation and her moving to LSU. When we come back, Bruce Gietzen joins the show. Don't go anywhere. This is Up Tempo.
Well, time to move on. With Kim Mulkey officially wooing Tire Nation with her opening press conference in Baton Rouge last night, the search begins for Mack Rhoades, as Mulkey's successor is expected to be named within the next 7 to 10 days. It has since been reported that LSU was not originally targeting Mulkey as a candidate for the opening, as she seemed secure at Baylor. It was Mulkey who initiated the move and eventually parted ways with the university after 21 years of service as a Lady Bear. A short list of possible replacements has not been named, but Coach Bill Brock and Satia Messer stayed in Waco rather than making the trip with Mulkey to Tiger Country last night. It has also been reported that Messer will interview for the job, and Mulkey's daughter, Mackenzie Fuller, will also likely abstain from moving to Baton Rouge. Other popular candidates to this point include Georgia head coach Joni Taylor and Arizona head coach Adia Barnes. Both candidates made huge strides with their respective programs this past season. Moving to men's tennis, the Baylor Bears are champs. Interim head coach Michael Woodson and the Bears marched through Texas at the Herd Tennis Center on Monday to claim the outright Big 12 championship after sharing the regular season title with UT and TCU. Adrian Boiton clinched the sweep of the Longhorns and earned tournament MVP as the number 3 ranked 29-4 Bears won their second straight and 10th overall tournament title. And tonight, the Baylor softball team meets number 1 Oklahoma on the Brazos for a monster doubleheader against the nation's best team. The action kicks off at 4 p.m., with Game 2 falling at 6:30. Tickets are open to the public, yet those who cannot make it to Getterman Stadium can watch the matchup live, nationally televised on ESPNU. I'm Armstrong Sims, and that's all the news that is news in college sports. This has been Armstrong's Minute on SicEm365 Radio's Up Tempo.
How can we help you? That's a question we ask every day at American Bank. Hi, I'm President and CEO Dana Hassel. Our commitment to our customers is what drives us. It's why we've invested in new branch buildings and technology like ITMs that let you speak to a teller face-to-face from your car. It's why we work with local businesses, helping Waco grow and thrive. And it's why decisions about your accounts and loans are made here in Waco by people who know you. How can we help you? Find out at American Bank, member FDIC.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we We accept most insurance, and there are no hidden costs. Even offering financing if that's needed. Everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
Texas board-certified personal injury trial lawyer and Baylor alum David Willis and Baylor alum Parker Willis are ready to help if you or a loved one has been wrongfully injured in an auto accident, SUV rollover, industrial accident, 18-wheeler crash, or were seriously injured by a defective product or recalled drug. Call them for a confidential and free case consultation at 1-800-GOT-HURT or visit them at texastriallawyer.com, principal office in Houston, Texas.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
Ram Truck Month means special pricing on the new 2021 Ram trucks at Allen Samuels. The three-peat Motor Trend Truck of the Year, Ram 1500 Lone Star Crew Cab, has special values up to $5,500 or 0% for 84 months. Allen Samuels, located at 201 West Loop 340 in Waco, Central Texas' new Ram commercial truck headquarters with 3,500 and 5,500 chassis cabs and other great work trucks. Visit Allen Samuels today. It's Ram Truck Month.
Come by. Let's be friends.
See dealer for details. All offers have credit requirements.
Stepping into a new pair of boots is great, but stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can also add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. There are more than 150 occupational specialties to help them find the best fit for their future. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Welcome back to Up Tempo on SicEm365 Radio. Call us on the Impact Health Labs caller line at 254-339-1122.
Sit down, Bob. I'm not happy, Bob. Not happy.
Now back to the Bears Den with Drake Toll and J.D. Pickell for the Blonde Boys Power Hour.
Welcome back into the Petty Clinic Low T Bears Den. Happy Tuesday, everybody. The big news, it is news. Kim Mulkey leaving Baylor University for Louisiana State University, taking over the helm in Baton Rouge to be the head women's basketball coach there. Along with that, you've got the Baylor tennis team winning a Big 12 championship in the Big 12 tennis tournament. And also outside of that as well, you have softball against number 1 Oklahoma tonight in a doubleheader at home in Waco. Now we're joined on the show by the voice of the Lady Bears himself, Bruce Gietzen, who's coming to us from a nice little bistro in downtown Barcelona. Bruce, thanks for coming on.
Hey, you figured it out, didn't you? Where my other office was.
I did.
Good going.
Very nice little Zoom background there for you, Bruce. You and I spoke in your office about a week ago about the speculation, some of the rumors that were going on here, and even then, while the conversations were going on that we didn't know between Kim and LSU, it seemed almost sure that she would stay at Baylor. What happened, and why did it happen so fast?
Well, Drake, I think if you have the chance, I've always felt, and I think, and she has said a couple times, if she ever She might retire if she ever decided she was going to leave and go somewhere. But the only place that would make sense would be Louisiana, because that's where she grew up and people in Louisiana love her. And I think the bottom line is you look at the chance to go back home and try to conquer one more big challenge, but do it where you grew up, I think was and LSU made her an offer she couldn't refuse, and I think that's the bottom line on what happened. If you watch the celebration yesterday in the press conference, she seemed happy to be there where she was going, and she has always been a Louisiana girl, and then she just it was an offer that she couldn't pass up.
Bruce, when you consider the certain factors that went into this decision for Kim Mulkey, I mean, this is a restart, moving from a program where she's won 3 national championships, had a chance to do it again next year with a top 5 preseason team, to go to LSU. There's obviously a big challenge there. That takes a lot, knowing what you're leaving in the product that you have at Baylor. Was this, at the underlying of this, a decision for Kim to go home? Or was that maybe on the back burner in why she decided to go to Baton Rouge?
You have to get Kim to tell you that. I'm not sure. I think the chance to go home was a big factor in it. I think I don't think she'd have left and gone if it'd been, a Big Ten team or someplace out west or whatever. I think the fact that it was Louisiana was a big part of that decision.
Along with that, you talked about her being a Louisiana girl now moving to LSU. I mean, she's going to have a very tough road ahead of her with that program there in the SEC when you're facing some of the best competition out there. With that, she's not necessarily the oldest coach in the game, but she's got another 10, 15 years maybe to help build this program. What is your confidence in Kim Mulkey being able to walk into a new program and build from day one? Does she still have that fire?
I think she does. I think nobody will argue with you that she didn't have the competitive fire and the will to win and the knowledge to win and do whatever it takes, whether she was playing racquetball or basketball or whatever, she was going to want to win. And I think it used to be that someone going into a new situation, would take 3 or 4 years to build the program like you want. I think that is shortening up now. Because of transfer rules changing and the transfer portal and all that. And obviously she's still got some good players there. I think one of the first things that she's going to do is probably evaluate the talent she's got, see, how many scholarships she's got and those kind of things. And she'll start the process of, her brand of basketball is defense and rebounding. And running the transition game. If she's got the players to do that, it'll be a shorter span of success. If she needs to get some more players in there, then it might take a little bit longer. There's no question in my mind that she can convert them to a winning program. Now, winning a national championship is tough. No matter how good you are, it takes some luck as well as staying away from injuries. And we saw both of those in the UConn game, the injury and the luck factor. And but just to get to the Final Four is an accomplishment. They haven't done that in a long time there.
Bruce, throughout this entire process, did you have any conversations with Kim? And since she made this decision, have you spoken with her or anyone close to her?
I talked with her the other night. I was driving back from a family gathering in Oklahoma. We had a private conversation and just wanted to see how she was doing. I knew this was a tough choice for her.
Is there anything that you've heard from her, not even just in the last few days, but in the months ahead of this, that could have been taken that would have given you a hint she would not be at Baylor next season?
No. Not one thing. I think the LSU thing came out of nowhere. She wasn't expecting it, and I think she had planned on finishing her career at Baylor up until the last couple of weeks. So,
in that last couple of weeks, that span, and I know there was a lot going on about Vargas at LSU and how that would line up with the new job. At what point did things change? At what point did things turn, in your opinion, when it comes to Kim going from, okay, we're building for next season? I mean, you had an all-star transfer from Alabama, now to LSU. When did this snap? Did it come with Vargas leaving LSU?
Well, Vargas didn't officially leave until, a couple of days ago. I think it started with that phone call from LSU's athletic director. And a lot of times it's timing and who you know as much as anything that happens. And I think when she got that phone call, she probably thought about it a little bit. So I don't think she was sitting there thinking, I want to go somewhere. I think she, her heart was at Baylor. It's been there for 21 years and the students she recruited. And so And I think a lot of people are surprised that she did it. I think deep down she's surprised that it ended up this way. I don't think she was thinking about that a month ago.
Wow. You talk about timing. I mean, the roster she has back next year, including the transfer that she already brought in and the possibility of more transfers. Miriam Dowda, a 5-star post that's coming in as well. She had a national championship team here at Baylor University. Why leave that?
Well, I think it's that opportunity we said again. I mean, she's had deep roots in Louisiana. Her mom still lives there, and Kim grew up 45 minutes from the LSU campus, and I think that's a strong attraction for anybody, and I think that was the primary factor.
Along with that, a lot of folks have talked about Kim being a big presence. I mean, she's got that fiery, she's a show in herself at basketball games. You see, she throws the jacket. She's got the big popping outfits. And folks have speculated that maybe that wasn't exactly what Baylor wanted as a part of their brand. How does that fit at LSU?
Well, I think the number one thing is, and you heard them talk about it yesterday, they wanted a champion and someone who could win. I think the persona and all the other things that you mentioned go along with it. That's just part of who she is and her competitive nature. I think they'll be fine with that. I'm not sure that was a factor at all at Baylor either. I mean, the bottom line is, for a coach, are you going to win? And your 3 national championships speak for themselves. I mean, only 3 other coaches have been able to do that.
Along with the hire as well, we've heard some different speculation, different sources that have said that Kim herself may have been a catalyst when the LSU job, there's blood in the water, the LSU job may come open, that Kim herself was trying to see, hey, maybe there's an opportunity here for her to go back home. Is there any way, and do you believe, that Kim may have been the catalyst that set this up?
I don't believe that. I don't think so. I think it started with a call from LSU.
When LSU, Woodward called her, and what you know about Kim and being around Kim, what did it take? What would it take for any university to have pried her from Baylor and her love and pride for the university here at Baylor?
Well, I think anybody who has gotten a job and gotten a phone call from somebody else to say, hey, you're going to get a chance to get another job or whatever. I mean, it's nice to feel wanted from somebody else. And I think that's out of professional courtesy. You listen to somebody if they're doing that. And then, and the fact that it was LSU in Louisiana, I think she was going to listen to that because it was home. And then you start the dialogue and see where that goes. Now, I don't know at what point she said, okay, I'm interested. And she said yesterday that the first call didn't have any numbers, any figures attached to it or whatever. It's just an exploratory call. So no, I don't think I'd read into it and say that Kim started that whole process. I think it was LSU.
Along with that, now the ripples being felt by Baylor administration, the ripples being felt by the players and the coaching staff along with Kim. From an administration standpoint, is this something, I mean, if you're Mac or anybody, this is a question for you personally. Do you throw the kitchen sink to keep a Hall of Fame coach in town?
Well, I don't know. That's a question you'd have to ask Mac at and what the limits are. And it's been a tough year financially with COVID. And I don't know the details of the conversations that they had, and if I don't know if he got the impression that Kim was interested in, was definitely interested or made up her mind about going. Well, and I do say, I don't think money is always the biggest factor with Coach Mulkey. From what just knowing her over a number of years, I mean, it's important, but it's not the number one thing. And so, like anybody else, if you're wanted and you're flattered, you'll give them the professional courtesy of listening and see where that goes. And so, but Mac would have to answer those questions and Kim about their conversations the two of them had.
Bruce, thank you for your answer on that one. I know that was a very pointed question right there, and that's exactly the answer that I was looking for from you. Thank you for doing that. This here, the ripple, we talked about administration and with players. Where does this staff, the administration, Mack Rhoades, where do you go next? What's the next move for him and his team?
Well, I'm sure he's looking to find the best replacement he can possibly get for Kim Mulkey and evaluating those. Look, Drake, this is still a premier program. And it's still the class of the Big 12 right now. I would imagine that Vic Schaefer down in Texas are thinking, here's an opportunity. The door's open some, get in there. And I know some of the other coaches are probably thinking the same thing. I remember I think 3 years ago, one of the other coaches, I think it was Bill Finley from Iowa State, said in the Big 12 tournament in a post-game conference, press conference, he said, let's face it, guys, we start 0-2 every year in the regular season, because Baylor was so dominant. Now, will that continue? I don't know. But Mack Rhoades is looking for a good coach to come in, I'm sure, and he may have one there in front of him. I mean, Bill Brock has been Kim Mulkey's right-hand person, very respected X's and O's coach, and is the interim coach now. And we'll have to wait and see how long that goes. But you're going to try to continue what Kim Mulkey built for 21 years and be one of the premier programs in the country. I think they can do that. It's not when you're selling the program. You're selling the coaching staff, but you're also selling the school and the community. And Baylor's a top flight destination for high school recruits, and they all come somewhere where they want to win.
Bruce, along with that, there are a lot of players that are at their respective universities for a coach. A lot of players follow big name coaches. So when a big name coach like Kim Mulkey leaves, what does that mean for the players on this current Baylor roster?
I think it's too early to answer that question now. A lot of them will stay, and I say that partly because of Kim leaving, partly because the transfer rules are in flux in the NCAA, and see how those play out. I think if I read the latest rules correctly, players have to declare by July 1st if they're going to try to transfer. And then the COVID issue, players got an extra year of eligibility from this past year, even if they played this past year because of the COVID concerns. So you've got people who got an extra year they weren't planning on, and probably still trying to figure out what they're going to do. And I think part of it will be who comes in and replaces Coach Mulkey too, and so.
We do have information, Bruce, that Mackenzie Fuller will be staying in town, and that's something that has come with Kim going down to Baton Rouge, being there. Obviously, Mackenzie her and her family are based in Waco right now, and her husband has a great job in Waco as well. Coach Brock, like you said, the interim head coach, Coach Messer, stayed in Waco, and we have reports that she will get an interview for the head coaching position when it comes.
She should.
She should, right? When it comes to the staff moving forward. Who is that short list? Where does Mac, I don't want you to speculate for Mac, but if it's you, where do you start on that short list of coaches that you go after for Baylor?
I want somebody who's a winner and knows basketball, has been associated with a winning program. I'm sure none of this, I'm sure Mack Rhoades has thought of all this, and he's got a list of people that he trusts to get input from them, and we'll talk to him. You want somebody dynamic, and could be from a smaller school who's been a winner, or it could be somebody from a big school. Look, Baylor is still a premier
Along with it, we talked about Brock and Messer. When you keep somebody on a staff, I mean, you look at Roy Williams, who just retired, and they immediately said, hey, let's go within house and try to have some continuity. Is that the A1 goal here, is continuity to retain players in a year in which the transfer portal is haywire?
I think that's one of the goals, and you want somebody who's going to build their own program and be successful and knows how to win and continues that winning tradition that started back in 2000 when Kim Mulkey came to Waco. So I think that's the overall goal, and part of it is retaining the players you want to keep, bringing in some of your own players, and being a good recruiter.
Bruce, my last question for you here, and this one's a little more pointed as well, but it gives you a chance, and I really want to hear from you because I know you and Kim were friends and still are friends. I mean, I'm sure that relationship will sustain. And this is a chance to speak on her legacy and what she's done at Baylor, and that is, what is Baylor University, the Baylor Lady Bears, what are they losing in Kim Mulkey going to LSU?
Well, they're losing a great coach. And as a coach, they'll try to replace with another great coach. They're losing some of their identity with that, but there's some things you can do to keep that going. And I think they're losing a coach that had a fiery spirit and a legacy of playing great defense and rebounding and building teams that can compete for national championships every year. Is she one of a kind some ways in her personality, but there are other coaches who can win, and you see them around the country, and they can build a winning program again. And that'll be, I'm sure Mack Rhoades is looking for somebody who will continue to do that and build their own program and win.
Well, certainly that is it's a great place to do it. Baylor's got the pieces in place, and Kim Mulkey left Baylor Lady Bear basketball better than she found it, without a doubt. Bruce, our Bear Games question of the day today, our first one being, if you got an A1 hire out there, somebody that you would love to see reasonably, not Gino Auriemma, but you would reasonably want to see on the sidelines next season, who's the one person you'd really enjoy having with the program?
Oh, Drake, you're going to back me in the corner on that. I really don't have one name out there that I'd want to see. I mean, that's Mack Rhoades' job, and I've got faith that he'll come up with a great candidate and to do that and make a good decision that way. And I'm looking forward to the people who stayed. I'm looking forward to calling the games with them, and I have every confidence that the Lady Bears are going to continue to have an elite program. That was your chance to say Mack Rhoades should take over the Lady Bear program and try to get a raise out of that. I was trying to lob you a softball. I don't know that Mack Rhoades would want to coach on the sidelines. So maybe not women's basketball at least. And then another one, and this is a little bit easier. This is the if there was one former player that you would love to see come back and be on the staff, who would that be? Oh wow. Maybe the first name that jumps out to me. Might be Nina Davis or whatever, because I know she's gotten into coaching and wanted to do some of that. Jasmine Player was a coach. Chelsea Whitaker was a really good player. There've been so many good players. I mean, at some point in time, Lauren Cox, I think, would be a good coach. I guess she was a coach on the floor, Kim used to say, and so that's an interesting question. I think there's a handful of possible answers. So Mackenzie Fuller might be up there too. You never know. You never know. Yeah. Hey, Bruce, thanks so much for coming on today. I mean, voice of the Lady Bears, insight that we couldn't have had through anybody else. Thank you so much for coming on and giving us your information. You bet, Drake. Thanks so much. And SicEm Bears. Always a pleasure. Again, that's Bruce Gietzen, the voice of the Baylor Lady Bears, talking about Kim Mulkey leaving the university, going to Louisiana State, and what that means for the university moving forward, the women's basketball program moving forward, and where Mack Rhoades and company go from here. I'm Drake Toll. We got Armstrong and Cole in studio today. When we come back, Grayson Gruntafer joins the show to talk about the spring game on Saturday. Football, baby. Apu Ika. Come on. If Gary Bohannon doesn't win the Heisman, Apu will. We're going to talk about that up next, along with football recruiting and where Baylor football looks for next season. Again, I'm Drake Toll. We got Armstrong and Cole in here as well. Later in the show, we'll also be joined by a couple of coaches later in the show, I should say, that'll talk. We've got Kelsey Rowell of the Acrobatics and Tumbling team, and then Sue Favor of Hoopism. That's Women's Hoops World on Twitter. She'll talk Kim Mulkey moving and what that means from a national standpoint. Drake Toll, Armstrong Sims, and Cole. When we come back, Grayson Grundaver for the big board. Don't go anywhere. This is Up Tempo.
Well, time to move on. With Kim Mulkey officially wooing Tire Nation with her opening press conference in Baton Rouge last night, the search begins for Mack Rhoades, as Mulkey's successor is expected to be named within the next 7 to 10 days. It has since been reported that LSU was not originally targeting Mulkey as a candidate for the opening, as she seemed secure at Baylor. It was Mulkey who initiated the move and eventually parted ways with the university after 21 years of service as a Lady Bear. A short list of possible replacements has not been named, but Coach Bill Brock and Satia Messer stayed in Waco rather than making the trip with Mulkey to Tiger Country last night. It has also been reported that Messer will interview for the job, and Mulkey's daughter, Mackenzie Fuller, will also likely abstain from moving to Baton Rouge. Other popular candidates to this point include Georgia head coach Joni Taylor and Arizona head coach Adia Barnes. Both candidates made huge strides with their respective programs this past season. Moving to men's tennis, the Baylor Bears are champs. Interim head coach Michael Woodson and the Bears marched through Texas at the Herd Tennis Center on Monday to claim the outright Big 12 championship after sharing the regular season title with UT and TCU. Adrian Boiton clinched the sweep of the Longhorns and earned tournament MVP as the number 3 ranked 29-4 Bears won their second straight and 10th overall tournament title. And tonight the Baylor softball team meets number 1 Oklahoma on the Brazos for a monster doubleheader against the nation's best team. The action kicks off at 4 p.m., with Game 2 falling at 6:30. Tickets are open to the public, yet those who cannot make it to Getterman Stadium can watch the matchup live, nationally televised on ESPNU. I'm Armstrong Sims, and that's all the news that is news in college sports. This has been Armstrong's Minute on SicEm365 Radio's Up Tempo.
At Baylor University, students can shine in their own way. Or should we say their own ways? Because there's no limit to the ways Baylor students make the world a brighter place. Whether they're leading a student organization or following a higher calling, getting advice from faculty, or taking part in world-class research, pursuing their dreams, or working toward their dream job, students find their place to shine at Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Car has the trucks, man. They have the one for you. Crew cab, short or long bed, silver, black or blue. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, he has the truck for you. Carr has the trucks, man. He has the truck you need. If you want the best truck, you want a GMC. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, they have the truck for you.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
If you or a loved one or friend has been arrested and you can't afford bail, trust Terry and Chase Chapman at Chapman's Bail Bonds, covering Waco and McLennan County for over 25 years. Chapman's can bail you out anywhere with experienced, knowledgeable local agents who are committed to serving you professionally, respectfully, and with the highest integrity. Chapman's understands your privacy is important. Your freedom can be secured fast when you use Chapman's Bail Bonds. Open 24 hours a day. Payment arrangements available. Call Chapman's Bail Bonds. When you need help, 254-754-1603. When you ring, we'll spring.
It was broad daylight. I stepped into a gas station for 5 minutes to grab a snack, and just like that, my car was broken into. They made out like a bandit. My laptop, my phone, everything. I called my agent to see what could be done, and he restored my faith in humanity. My claim was processed so quickly, and I was able to recover my losses.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Listen, in the past couple of years, we've had a lot of people moving in from out of state to Waco thanks to Chipper and JoJo. And while we welcome these new citizens, they unfortunately brought some of their bad habits with them. Hi, Jay here from Pickup Outfitters, and you know what I'm talking about. Naked trucks. You'd think everyone moved here from McNewtville. But we shouldn't judge them, we should help them. For example, when you see a recent transplant truck from a less civilized state like California, instead of saying, "Your truck is disgusting, your bed is exposed, get a bed cover on that truck, buddy," that's a bit harsh. Instead, try something like, "You know, in Texas, it's not polite to drive around with your bed exposed. Maybe you should check out the excellent selection of bed covers at Pickup Outfitters." And then if they refuse, you can say, "Well, I hear New Mexico's a nice state." Let's help our new neighbors and let them know that truck nudity is not okay. Let them know about Pickup Outfitters of Waco and send them to our website, createacommotion.com.
Welcome back to Up Tempo on SicEm365 Radio.
Cynthia, Jesus died for our Cynthias.
Call us on the Impact Health Labs caller line at 254-339-1122.
Julia Roberts, Julia Rob.
Now back to the Bears Den with Drake Toll.
Welcome back into the Petty Clinic Low T Bears Den. I'm Drake Toll alongside Grayson Grundaver, Armstrong, and Cole with us today on Up Tempo, talking all things Baylor sports. Tennis team winning a Big 12 championship. Softball plays number 1 Oklahoma in Waco tonight. Going to be a huge series at Getterman Stadium. But all of that overshadowed. There was a flippin' green and gold game over the weekend. And all of that has been overshadowed by the fact that Kim Mulkey left Baylor University for Louisiana State. I'd be remiss if I didn't get your thoughts, Grayson, on what's happening right now with Kim Mulkey.
Yeah, crazy drama-filled week, and it really wasn't supposed to be that. It was supposed to be green and gold game, lots of fun, lots of just getting to go see the football team celebrating the men's basketball championship as well a little bit, and that's not what happened. Kim Mulkey ends up going to LSU, and it's really one of those situations where when I started hearing the rumors last Tuesday, it was one of those, man, is this really going to happen? How sad is this? Kim Mulkey's been a part of the Baylor program and really one of those names that you just put up there with all Baylor sports. And unfortunate to see her leave, but now really, I mean, for me, it's on to the next. It's what's next at Baylor. What is Mack Rhoades going to do? Who are they going to go hire? And just kind of what's the trajectory and, potentially fallout from this move by Kim Mulkey, but excited for the future. I think Baylor women's basketball is in a great spot, and they're a blue blood in the sport, so they should be fine.
Grayson, from your experience in sports media and just being around sports, as an athletic director in general, I mean, how much give and take can you have with anybody and any staff between the just the bend but don't break mentality?
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously a lot of give and take because nobody's going to agree on everything. Right. And you have to be able to have great conversations. I think that's the biggest part. You have to be able to have open and honest conversations about what you want for the program in the future and also just kind of your vision going forward. And I mean, frankly, Kim Mulkey decided to go back home, so I completely understand that. She's going to LSU, and she said that was the only job she would take, over Baylor. Maybe that's true. Who knows? But what I can say is I trust Mack Rhoades. He's proven it time and time again. So I think for him, it's just going to find the right fit. And I think he is going to look at fit beyond just with the team and the program, but also with all of Baylor athletics. I think that's going to be very important.
So Caitlin Pickell has now tweeted, "Once a bear, always a bear." And along with that, you also have the tweet today from Alyssa Smith that said, "All we know is adversity. We got something for y'all. Believe that." I'm telling you. Let's be careful how I say this.
I hope Baylor schedules LSU or
no.
What? Oh,
even worse. I'm going even further. That a lot of folks speculated that men's basketball team winning a championship hurt the. Maybe didn't sit well with some people in the women's basketball realm or around the staff. It was just you didn't see a lot of congratulatory stuff out there, And so if Baylor women's basketball wins a national championship next season, oh boy, that's going to be the 30 for 30. Make a 30 for 30 for that.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
think
man.
about it. From the personalities that we know and the things that just think about if Baylor comes back and wins a national championship in women's basketball next season. Just what a dub.
Why don't they both just win it?
LSU and Baylor?
No. Baylor men's and women's. Why don't they just sweep it?
Yeah.
That would be a good. Now, you want to talk about 30 for 30.
You want to talk about yeah.
There you go.
I hadn't thought about that, but yeah, Baylor just comes out next season firing. That would be I would want to see nothing more than that, than Baylor succeed at the highest level next season.
For sure.
So along with that too, before we get into football, I want to go to Akinjo, James Akinjo. I know we heard him on the show yesterday on the afternoon show. And what do you kind of see from him in the recruiting realm for Scott Drew recruiting the transfer portal and what he's going to bring to Baylor?
Yeah, this is huge because it gives Baylor once again that dual guard combo. So now you have Akinjo and Flagler. I'm expecting huge things from both of them. I really think Akinjo has an average less than 13.5 points per game in his career. So I believe he'll be locked in. He's going to average probably between 13 and 15 points per game, which makes up for one of the big three that they're probably going to lose. Jared Butler still hasn't made a decision yet. But
Jared Butler still hasn't made a decision?
No decision yet. So still waiting on that. Adam Flagler, I think, will be in the same boat. He'll probably average 13, 14 points per game. So really excited about that duo. And then, of course, the lineup is just coming together. Matthew Meyer, LJ Cryer, Kendall Brown, Everyday John, Flo Thamba, Langston Love. It's a really good basketball team, and I think there's a lot of depth there. And really, I think the only question that we have I have going into the season is, first of all, how good are the freshmen? Yep. How good are Love, Brown, and Sohan? And if they're up to the standards that we think they are, if Kendall Brown is a legit Big 12, lottery pick contender, I think this team has a chance to make another run at Final Four.
Oh, without a doubt, especially with Akinjo though. Are they going to ask him? He's a scoring point guard.
He'll be point, I think.
Right. Yeah. Are they going to ask him to score? Or are they going to ask him to be a facilitator?
I think he's going to be Davion Mitchell's role for this team. So 5 assists is what he averaged through his career. That's what Davion had last year. I think it was like 5.6 assists. So he'll be kind of there. I think Flagler will be the Jared Butler role this year, where he's playing off ball a little bit more. Right. He's still going to have the ball in his hands. Don't worry about that. But Akinjo's probably going to lead the offense for most stretches, I would think.
Defense regresses a little bit.
A little bit. He's not the defender that Davion is, but I do think, One thing I will say about Baylor, though, is they're very team defense oriented outside of, Davion Mitchell obviously could play man-to-man extremely well without needing much help. But the rest of the guys, Jared Butler played fantastic help defense last year, which was a reason that he was second team all defense in the Big 12 because of his help defense, not necessarily his one-on-one. So if Akinjo can get to that level, they're going to be just fine on that end as well.
All right, basketball, women's basketball to men's basketball, all the way to football, which it seems so distant already again. You felt that football's coming, and then football's here, and then it's overshadowed. With the spring game, though, what were your A1 takeaways from what you saw Saturday?
Yeah, so defense is dominant, but also deep. I think that was one of the bigger takeaways I had. I expected the green team, when they showed up with the entire starting lineup, that it was going to be a huge problem for the gold team. It was pretty obvious that it was going to be that way. But what I didn't expect was the green team, didn't matter which quarterback they had, at times they struggled mightily against the gold defense, which was a lot of young guys. Tyrone M. Brown, Devin Neal, Devin Lemire, young guys making a lot of plays. Al Walcott, another guy who played really well. So a lot of depth there. Really like the defensive line rotation that they were able to have, even without Gabe Hall and TJ Franklin, who I think are potential all Big 12 type guys eventually in their career. So really impressed from that standpoint. The depth, I learned a lot about the depth of that defense. They're going to be, I would be shocked if they're not a top 15 defense at minimum this next season. So that was a big one. I think my second big takeaway was that the quarterback battle is still throw the names in a hat, essentially, and then pull one out and figure out who it is. Gary was the best on the day, but again, if you're only going to go off a spring game, I don't think you're really, kind of looking at it from a broader scope. They had 22 practices. So they got to see a lot. Jacob Zeno took the starting reps, obviously had 2 interceptions. He did throw a touchdown late, but really did not look sharp on the day at all. Shapen had some mistakes, hitting offensive linemen in the back of the head, having trouble throwing it over the line.
He's not the biggest guy.
He's not. And he's got to work on that. He's got to get the ball over the offensive line when he's in the pocket. That's something I noticed he struggled with, but when he was outside of the pocket, he was very solid. You could see kind of that mobility and ability to throw on the run. And then Gary just was calm and poised in the pocket, was able to run that read option extremely well. Liked what I saw from him. Very much so. He was accurate, made some throws within his range. He's not going to throw the ball deep, as we saw. He really didn't take any shots in the game. But the big throw that I saw, the R.J. Sneed throw, kind of a 15-yard dig route on third and 11, really put it in there. It was a really nice throw. That was the best throw of the day, in my opinion. Outside of maybe the last throw of the game.
Zeno was just like, hey, now I'll show off.
Now I'm going to throw a bomb to R.J. Sneed. But, that was definitely not the most encouraging part of the game. And then, of course, the offensive line, the pass protection struggles are still there. Guys, quarterbacks running for their lives. They're hitting the transfer portal. They will be adding at least one transfer, if not 2. Specifically, the right tackle position, I think, needs to be addressed the most. The secondary spot would be guard. So they're definitely looking. I think there will be 2 new names by the time this team takes the field in the fall.
At this point, just like a large, warm body. Just like you're a living person and you're a large human. Please come play offensive line.
They just need dart throws, man. That's really what it is. Throw a dart, hope that the guy shows up and can actually play and can be a quality Big 12 starter. I mean, that's what they need, because Gavin Byers and Elijah Ellis are they're not quite there. They will be. They're both going to be very good, but as far as starting at right tackle, I think it would be pretty hard for them this year.
So, Matt Rule, the infamous first spring game under Matt Rule. What would you rate that? 1 to 10?
Oh, Can I go negative
You
one?
can go negative.
Negative. It was terrible. They couldn't block anybody. It was, they didn't even have enough offensive linemen. They were like playing both ways, the offensive line. So, negative for that.
Negative for Matt Rule's first spring game. Dave Aranda's first spring game, 1 to 10.
Which was this year. This was
year,
his first spring
exactly.
game. It was fun. I felt like the defense looked really well, so you already get 5 points there because half of it was good. I thought the environment was good. That can give it another 1. I'll probably give it a 7. I thought it was fun to watch. I thought the play calling was vanilla, as it always is in a spring game.
As it should be. As it should be.
But when the parking lot's filled up, it's hard to find parking, and the fans are there having a good time. Lots of recruits showed up. The product on the field, you scored a couple touchdowns, saw a couple explosive plays. I'll give it a 7.
A 7 it is. Lock in a 7 for Dave Aranda's first spring game. One of the surprises for me, we're going to get to Gary Bohannon, but I loved what Christoph Henley ended up bringing to the passing game. Well, that was... I was really surprised just because I have not been remotely impressed with him in spring practices. But then he came out in the spring game and said, hey, I can catch some of these balls, make a couple plays. What did you see from Christoph Henley?
Yeah, so I think common theme that we just kind of saw from the spring game was the guys who have played a lot of reps in college played pretty well. So Gary Bohannon has had the most quarterback reps throughout his career. He played the best. Christoph Henley, out of all the guys that played, because Ben Sims didn't play, he's by far had the most reps. So he went out there and was confident. I don't think he was caught up by the fans, you know what I mean? Because he's played in big games before. But he made a couple nice grabs. The biggest one was the throw from Shapen in coverage as well. I mean, it was well covered. He went up, snagged it. And that's big because he is seen as more of the blocker of the group for sure. But he's played a lot of reps, so I think he's got some confidence there. Drake Dabney, sad to see him go out with that injury. I think he'll be okay, though. It didn't look like it got caught in the ground, his knee or whatnot. So I think he'll be okay. And then Ben Sims, hoping he can get healthy as well. Tyler Henderson also caught a couple passes. But yes, good development there for Christoph.
I want to stick with the offense there for a second. And Jacob Zeno, obviously 2 interceptions early. And then you got to give some credit to the defense. Such a good defense. But then Gary Bohannon just comes in and looks poised. My A1 takeaway, I put this on the forum, I put this on the site. Gary Bohannon is his own offensive line. When things break down, he becomes the offensive line in the way that he doesn't necessarily need blocking like a pocket passer. He can make things happen with his legs when things break down. And he's the best one, in my opinion, of the 4 to be able to do that. Do you have that same assessment with him?
Yeah. If the offensive line is going to look like it did throughout the season on Saturday, then you're probably going to have to play Gary. I will say, I think along with that takeaway, what I kind of saw was that I think regardless of who the starter is, I think there will be a role for Gary Bohannon, if that makes sense. Like, I can see them using him as a read option type quarterback, definitely in the goal line as well. It's unfortunate we didn't get to see a QB sneak on the Ebner touchdown. I think they probably would have done that, no question, if, obviously Gary was allowed to take hits. But I think there's a role for him. But I do agree with you. He did a nice job escaping the pressure. Obviously, all you're doing is playing touch. And so if you're touched, you're down in the spring game. Curious if that kind of changes when you're actually getting hit. Obviously, that changes some things. But I will say, he did a nice job extending plays. I also felt like Blake Shapen did a nice job extending plays. Neither one were able to escape the pass rush and really deliver an accurate ball downfield. It was all kind of short yardage, maybe 10 yards. Shapen had the longest, I believe. But I was also impressed. I know, again, Zeno didn't play well, but he stepped up into the pressure a couple times and had 2 or 3 long runs, like pretty significant gains. So I think that was good to see as well, to see him getting a little bit more comfortable tucking it and running. Because I don't think he's a bad athlete. The difference between him and Gary and Shapen is he's not as quick. So his cuts aren't as sharp. But straight line speed, he is as faster than Gary. And I know some people don't want to believe that, but his high school, he ran a 4.7 flat in high school, which is the fastest of any of the guys on the current roster.
If you had to rank your 4 quarterbacks from the spring game, and I'm sure you've been asked this already or put some thought into this already, where would you go? Where would you put those guys?
Yeah, Gary, Zeno, Shapen, Drones. It's unfair for Drones because of the situation he was dealt. He was on the gold team the whole day.
Yeah.
Really didn't get a chance to really do anything. So he's last. I do have Zeno ahead of Shapen. I know a lot of people have Shapen ahead of Zeno, I think it's just preference. I like the fact that they took multiple shots deep with Zeno, he was picked off twice, but they actually took shots with him, which tells me something about how the offense would be geared when he is in. And also, he threw the only touchdown of the day as well, which I think is also somewhat a credit towards him.
I like Drone's size, man. Drones is a big dude. Drones is a big dude. Along with the offense, my probably my last question where I want to stick when we get to the defense was defense has just been so good. Treston Ebner, best offensive player, period, no question. Yes or no? True or false?
Ooh. For this upcoming season or just from the spring game?
This upcoming season. Both, really. I want to get your thoughts on both.
Okay. So spring game, he absolutely was. He was the most dynamic player out there. He looked fantastic in this offense. I mean, he was getting downhill better than Quaylon Jones was. And Quaylon weighs, it seems like 30 pounds more than Treston Ebner, but Treston does a great job at cutting and getting upfield. He also avoids tacklers very well. So very dynamic player. I think that if they continue to struggle with quarterback, then it probably is going to be Ebner. He's probably going to be their best offensive player during the season. But the one that I'm struggling putting him ahead of is Tyquan Thornton, because I just think there's so much potential there for him in the deep passing game, which is something I do think Jeff Grimes and this entire staff wants to be able to do, is throw the ball deep to Tyquan and utilize one of their best offensive weapons.
Defensive side of the football. No Terrell Bernard. Show up, see Terrell Bernard in street clothes. That wasn't a huge surprise by any means. But you see the defense play the way it did without Terrell Bernard. That, to me, was a surprise.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, if you're going to tell me that this defense isn't going to have Terrell Bernard, TJ Franklin, or Gabe Hall, I mean, what else is there to say? If they can make the plays they did on Saturday without those three guys, I mean, it just speaks to the depth that they've been able to build. Dave Aranda, Ron Roberts doing an awesome job. And I just love the fact that the young guys played so well. That tells you so much about how well they've recruited, how well they've developed talent, and just kind of where this defense overall is at. Like I said, I would be shocked if this isn't one of the top 15 defenses in the country next year.
So very tough to assess from a spring game how well a team will do next season. But when you look at the squad based off of Saturday, offensively, defensively, has your rank. So I know we've talked about before, like, hey, this is a 6 to 8 win team if things go the way they should. Do you still have an assessment similar to that?
Yeah, I still think they go 8-4.
8-4?
Yeah, I do. Yep.
Grayson, you are our resident football expert, so I can't question you, but 8 wins, why?
Yeah, so I think the schedule is the biggest reason why. I think if you look at it, Texas State, Texas Southern, Kansas, those are 3 wins. Texas Tech in Waco, that will be another win. BYU in Waco, that will be another win. That's 5 wins. So you're telling me the rest of the games, they only have to win 3 of them, and really they only have to win 2 and then the bowl game, and they're getting 8 wins? Yeah, sign me up. I think after what I saw, this defense is good enough to win them 8 games out of 13.
Really?
Yeah, I do. And honestly, if you look at it, TCU on the road is tough, sure, but I don't think TCU is that much better than Baylor. Baylor has a good defensive day. I think they could win that game. K-State's not that good. West Virginia has to come to Waco. That's tough. Iowa State, Texas, and OU have to come to Waco as well. I think they can win one of those. I just look at it. I think the schedule is so favorable for a big season. I always have thought that, though. The 2021 season was the one you wanted to circle because of just how the schedule lines up for them. So we'll see how it ends up going. But I do think the more games they get into the season, the better the quarterback play will be. And I expect the defense to be amazing all year.
Don Kirsting here says, keep waiting for Tyquan to get to the next level, to be at the next level. Have you seen that yet from him? Has he reached his full potential?
This spring he has. This spring he has been awesome. And I know you didn't get to see a lot of it in the spring game. A part of that was, one of the early plays in the game, Jacob Zeno missed him. I mean, he had a touchdown, probably, I think it was like a 60-yard touchdown that Zeno just missed him on a post route. So I see it, but in order for him to get to his potential, the quarterbacks have to be able to give him the ball. That's just simply what it has to be. I did like that we saw, I think, 2 or 3 contested catches from him across the middle of the field, which is an area he struggled with. But yeah, I'm seeing the improvement. I continue to hear this spring how just dominant he was and how good he was. And I'm expecting him to have a big year. I know RJ Sneed's going to be great as well, going to be very reliable, but I think the big plays, I think Taekwon's going to have a big year, and I don't think you're going to be waiting much longer to be like, where did Taekwon go after last year? He's going to be very good.
Hopefully so. And he's a guy that could step into a big role at receiver this season. Along with the football team playing in the green and gold game, there were plenty of recruits or commits that were in attendance. Talk about some of those guys, what you heard from them afterward, if folks haven't been able to see that on the SicEm365 site, and your confidence in a couple of those guys that were around.
Yeah, so a few guys came actually by the studio and did some interviews, so I got to talk to them. In some of the cases, like Kyler Jordan, who's a commit out of Lubbock Cooper, Cedric Roberts out of Pflugerville Hendrickson. I got to meet their parents for the first time, which was really cool. They loved it. I mean, every commit I talked to loved the experience. If they were there, some had to watch on TV because they couldn't make the game. Obviously, the out-of-state guys, it's a little bit tougher. But both tight ends, Kelsey Johnson and Cody Mladinka, loved the use of the tight ends during the spring game, which, like you said, very apparent. I mean, Christoph Henley going out and making plays, and he's like the third tight end you think of in the room. That's a big deal. So it's clear they're going to utilize them in 2 tight end sets, and they're going to get them the football. Everyone was very happy. I would say the defensive guys were over the moon at what they saw. They saw a bunch of guys making plays. Specifically, Garmin Randolph and Siaki Ika were both mentioned by defensive line guys, just talking about how dominant they looked and how they want to come to Baylor and kind of make that same impact as those dudes. And obviously, the turnovers were huge as well. Recruits love seeing turnovers, and Baylor has a knack for it. Under Dave Aranda, they've done a great job forcing turnovers. I think that's going to continue, and it did during the spring game. So, lots of good feedback. There were 30 signees / prospects / commits in total, over 30 that were at the spring game.
Is that good? Is that normal?
Yeah, it's pretty dang good. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. It's tougher to sell a kid to come to a game when you can't talk to them. So you're literally relying on them to just want to show up to a game and not even get to talk to the coaching staff. So it's a huge deal. Absolutely huge that you got guys on campus to come watch this game, even without getting to see coaches in person. All the 2022 prospects are so excited about official visits that are coming up in June. That's going to be a really fun time and really a big time for this staff as well. And 2023 prospects are hoping for a junior day, which I think will probably happen sometime in July.
Wow. Well, you mentioned Apu Ika. Holy cow.
Yeah.
I was going to just kind of skip over it because it's self-explanatory. It speaks for itself. He's going to win the Heisman this next season. I think I put on the site that if Gary's going to win the Heisman next year, if Apu doesn't beat him to it, he is Baylor's best defender going into next season, even with Jalen Petrie and Terrell Bernard on roster. True or false?
False.
Okay, tell me why.
He is, can I change it?
Oh.
He's the most important.
Okay.
He's not the best.
Okay.
Not yet. He's still a redshirt sophomore. Terrell Bernard is still the best player, will be in the NFL draft, will be playing in the NFL after this next season. I think Apu Ika is still a year away from being an NFL guy. I would kind of guess that. But he's the most important because they don't have anyone else who can remotely do what he can do. Whereas with Terrell Bernard, you could replace him with Abram Smith and feel fairly good. I mean, he's not Terrell Bernard, but he played really well last year in stretches. So I'd flip it to most important, not necessarily the best.
Apu, over under 4 sacks this next season.
Over.
Really? Mm-hmm. He's that dominant.
Yeah, he is, and he's different than Bravion Roy. And this was something that I've seen but really got to see more of in this game. Bravion was so good at not moving. Yeah. He would take up 2 or 3 guys, and they could not move him. And he would move them in the backfield, and it would cause running backs to run into him or just not have a hole there. Ika's going to do that, but Ika's also going to get off blocks more and get into the backfield, create more tackles for loss and sacks. So I think he's going to be similar statistically to 2019 Bravion Roy, with maybe a few more sacks until maybe a couple more tackles for loss as well, which would be ridiculous. Because Bravion was unbelievable that year.
His forearms are as big as my biceps. He looked, and here's another thing that I was impressed with, the size of Baylor in general.
Yeah.
Even though the offensive line isn't good, sorry, but they're big.
Yeah.
Like, this is a big football team.
Yeah, they're huge. They're huge. And when you see Ike running around with a ripped jersey, oh my goodness, you're like, this guy's trying to put jerseys on the sidelines. Other people are trying to fit them on, and they're like, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to put a cape on this guy because there's no way we're taking this jersey off.
That's nuts. He is a mountain of a man. Really quickly, NFL draft coming up Thursday. Anything that we should be ready for?
Well, William Bradley King. I think everything I've heard is a third or fourth round pick.
Really? Up to the third?
Yeah, I've heard a couple interviews with that, and if he can move up that far, wow. Talk about
what could we do?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I get eligibility.
So I'm really excited for him. Outside of that, there's really nothing of note. I'm going to be paying attention to the Colts. That's my team, so we'll see what they end up doing. But yeah, William Bradley King is the only Baylor guy of note that I think is going to get drafted. I don't anticipate Jake Burton getting drafted.
Okay. Well, Bear Games questions of the day today. If you've got a short list of women's basketball coaches coming up for you, who's your A1 right now that you'd like to bring on in?
Obviously, we're not counting Gino. That's an unfair answer. Okay. Joni Taylor. I like her at Georgia. I think that she is kind of a perfect fit. She's only 42 years old, which I'm hoping Baylor goes with.
Whoa. Don't be giving out people's ages on the show. Come on, man.
Well, it's important. It's important to my point because you want a young coach that's going to be around for a long time. I don't want Baylor to go hire a 75-year-old person to come coach and only be here for 2 years.
Bill Brock's listening right now. Seriously? He's only 68. Although I don't know if they're going to go with Brock because it seems like retirement may be on the
I was going to say, I would say if they're going to hire from within, it's probably going to be Messer.
Got to be Messer. And then along with that, one former player, if you could bring them back and be an assistant on the roster, who would it be?
Let's go with it's a tough one between Lauren Cox and Chloe Jackson.
Chloe Jackson, we haven't heard that one yet today. I love that take.
Chloe Jackson was such a good leader for that 2019 team and a floor general as well. So I think she'd be great. Lauren Cox as well, I think is probably the most common answer you're going to get.
Beautiful. All right. Well, Grayson, thanks for joining us for the big board today. Always a pleasure.
Thank you. This was great. Yeah. As always.
And when we come back, Kelsey Rowell joins the show. She's an assistant for the Acrobatics and Tumbling team with Coach Felicia Mulkey. They just won their 6th national championship. Kelsey Rowell. Yeah, I love the unsung heroes, the folks that don't get a lot of pub. Kelsey Rowell is one of those as an assistant on a team. She played at Oregon under Coach Fee Mulkey, now at Baylor with aspirations to be a head coach one day. I'm sure she's going to join, talk to us about winning the national championship last Friday, something that's been overshadowed by other news. I'm Drake Toll, Grayson Gruntafer, Andrew Robertson, Jack McKenzie, Armstrong Sims, and Cole Andrews all in studio. Everybody's here. And when we come back, we've got Kelsey Rowell on the show. Don't go anywhere. This is Up Tempo.
Well, time to move on. With Kim Mulkey officially wooing Tire Nation with her opening press conference in Baton Rouge last night, the search begins for Mack Rhoades, as Mulkey's successor is expected to be named within the next 7 to 10 days. It has since been reported that LSU was not originally targeting Mulkey as a candidate for the opening, as she seemed secure at Baylor. It was Mulkey who initiated the move and eventually parted ways with the university after 21 years of service as a Lady Bear. A short list of possible replacements has not been named, but Coach Bill Brock and Satia Messer stayed in Waco rather than making the trip with Mulkey to Tiger Country last night. It has also been reported that Messer will interview for the job, and Mulkey's daughter, Mackenzie Fuller, will also likely abstain from moving to Baton Rouge. Other popular candidates to this point include Georgia head coach Joni Taylor and Arizona head coach Adia Barnes. Both candidates made huge strides with their respective programs this past season. Moving to men's tennis, the Baylor Bears are champs. Interim head coach Michael Woodson and the Bears marched through Texas at the Herd Tennis Center on Monday to claim the outright Big 12 championship after sharing the regular season title with UT and TCU. Adrian Boiton clinched the sweep of the Longhorns and earned tournament MVP as the number 3 ranked 29-4 Bears won their second straight and 10th overall tournament title. And tonight the Baylor softball team meets number 1 Oklahoma on the Brazos for a monster doubleheader against the nation's best team. The action kicks off at 4 p.m. with Game 2 falling at 6:30. Tickets are open to the public, yet those who cannot make it to Getterman Stadium can watch the matchup live, nationally televised on ESPNU. I'm Armstrong Sims, and that's all the news that is news in college sports. This has been Armstrong's Minute on SicEm365 Radio's Up Tempo.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive at 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
It's a name and a memory that called us back. It's a belief and a labor that will carry us forward. It's a time and experience that will make you return. The new Bear Ridge Golf Club, a space revitalized, a course restored, a new experience. For a tee time today, call the Pro Shop at 254-848-7800. Go to BearRidgeWaco.com, just south of Waco on Highway 84. Come join us at Bear Ridge Golf Club.
At Marco's Pizza, get craveable pizza made the Italian way with dough made from scratch, an original sauce recipe, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and premium toppings you love, served hot and safe. Right now, you can get unlimited medium one-topping pizzas for just $6.99 each. Why stop at just one? Order with your app or at marcos.com for curbside, carryout, or delivery today. Marco's, pizza lovers get it.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Welcome back to Up Tempo on SicEm365 Radio.
No capes. Do you remember Thunderhead? Tall, storm powers. Nice man. Good with the kids.
Listen. Call us on the Impact Health Labs caller line at 254-339-1122.
Dynaguy, snag on takeoff. Splashdown, sucked into a vortex. No kicks.
Here's Drake Toll and Armstrong Sims.
Welcome back into the Petty Clinic Low T Bears Den. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Some of the biggest news across not just Baylor athletics, but in college sports in the last week has centered around a Big 12 championship in men's tennis, an appearance in the Big 12 championship match in women's tennis. We've talked about, obviously, Kim Mulkey leaving Baylor, softball against number 1 Oklahoma tonight, baseball the win at number 5 Texas Tech in Lubbock, but none as big as number 6 in a row for Baylor Acrobatics and Tumbling. And we're now joined by assistant acrobatics and tumbling coach Kelsey Rowell on Up Tempo today. Kelsey, thank you for coming on with us.
Still muted. Happy to be here with you.
Yeah, and a pleasure to have you on, as I mentioned, and another national championship for this team. Kelsey, give us some background for those that might not be familiar with you or what you've done in the sport on how you got to Baylor and where acrobatics and tumbling has taken you.
Absolutely. So I was recruited by Coach Felicia Mulkey back when I was at Oregon State University as a just normal student. I heard about this sport, thought it sounded like an amazing opportunity. At that point, we actually didn't even know what the meet format was going to look like. So it was just, do you want to be a part of making history? And I said, absolutely. I got to compete there with Coach Fee for 2 years under her belt. No, 3 years, sorry. 3 years. Yeah, I lose count. 3 years under her belt, got to coach with her once, 1 year there at Oregon. And then when they made the transition here, I stayed on a year just for purposes of keeping the peace. And then I came here a year later and I've been here since. And great opportunity. I love being a Baylor Bear and I couldn't be happier to be here with Coach Mulkey.
Well, Kelsey, it's great to have you at Baylor and on the show today as well. I'd be remiss if I didn't really come here on the front end, and that's winning a national championship. For you to do that now as a coach and do it again this season with Baylor, what was that moment like for you when, clock didn't hit 0, but final scores are in and Baylor national champions again?
It was a really good one. APU put up an amazing competition for us. They were awesome. They kept us on our toes. They really challenged us. And our goal was just to go out there and leave the floor satisfied. And waiting for those final scores to come in, we knew exactly the margin that we needed to win by. So when those scores were announced, it was really pure joy and just almost a sigh of relief for these kids and these girls that all of their hard work paid off, and could not have been more proud of them.
Kelsey, you've heard it before. The words in the same sentence, Baylor Bears, acrobatics and tumbling, national champions. Is there anything that makes this one unique?
COVID, right? Everything about this year was pretty unique. So starting last year when we actually never usually have a spring break in our sport because we're usually traveling. And our team actually found out that we wouldn't be coming back to campus when we were all apart on spring break. So that kind of just started this unique year off on a different foot. And then just really not even being able to be together as a whole team until the season kind of got rolling. We were really grateful because of our administration. We got to kind of finally be in a bigger group during the national championship for the first time and have our team really get to know each other. And I feel like that really helped us throughout this national championship, them making those connections and those building those relationships during the past week.
Coach, we talked to Cam Bryant earlier on the show this week, and she talked about that process of coming back because there were a lot of seniors who just didn't know when COVID hit if their acrobatics and tumbling careers would be over. Tough to put life on a pause for a year, come back to a university and play a sport when you didn't expect to. What does it mean to this team to have seniors like Cam return and help win a championship this year?
I think it's really special. I think it says a lot about Cam Bryant. She got her season taken away from her, and she battled some injuries here while she was here. So I think she really wanted that final year for her to be able to go out on a high note. So having that taken away from her and being able to come back for a 5th year, I think was really special. She did a really good job. She wanted to respect the senior class that was leading this year and who this was their senior year. She didn't want to step on any toes, but they welcomed her with open arms, and she gave insight where she could, and she kept the team high energy and tried to teach them, because a lot of our team, even with last year with COVID, they didn't get to experience a full year. So she was there kind of to help just explain where we want to get to and how do we do that. So she was a huge help, and we're really happy that we had her for a 5th year.
Coach, I want to know, you won a championship as a player under Felicia Mulkey, the current Baylor coach, while both of you were at Oregon, and you since then have won championships as an assistant at Oregon and now as an assistant at Baylor. How is it different winning a championship as a player and now as a coach?
It's funny because we were talking about this last week, and a lot of us who coach the sport came up through the sport. And people were talking about, man, I get nervous on meet day. And I was like, you know what? for some reason, I don't. As a student athlete, I would get nervous because I was in it. And so I felt like I needed to be out there to try to help if there was any nerves or jitters. But being on this side of it, we prepare them and I trust them and they work so hard. And I'm just happy when they perform the way that they want to. And I feel like no matter what they do, their hard work pays off. And so I oddly on meet days a lot of times, I use the word unbothered a lot. When Coach Fee asks me how I'm feeling, and I say, I'm feeling unbothered because I just trust them and I know whatever happens, and no matter what, I'm going to be proud of them. So it's a lot different. The happiness and the joy that you feel from it, I don't think that really changes. And for us, we always say it's not about the trophy. And I think I can remember just about every time on a day during the championship when we felt satisfied. And oddly enough, one of my favorite memories was my senior year here, semifinals in Baylor in the Farrell Center on semifinals day, and that feeling of, man, we did it. We don't even care what happens next. And on semifinals this championship, I felt that same feeling. And I was really emotional that day. And so I just knew it was going to be good. And no matter what happened from there on out, I was happy with what we did. So it's different, but it never gets old. That's for sure. It's really great.
Coach, you talked about that comfortability, that passion you have and the pride in your team, knowing they'll get it done. But when it comes to passion and pride for your sport in general, what I love about acrobatics and tumbling, having athletes and coaches on, is that it is a growing sport that is growing at a rapid rate. And that has to be so exciting for you and the other coaches, players that are around this sport. I want to know, though, and this is a very open-ended question to give you plenty of room to answer, and this is, who is Felicia Mulkey?
Oh, man, who is Felicia Mulkey? She is a lot of different things. She is a mentor. She's a coach. She is a leader. She is a teacher. She's family. She is fun and she is serious. And if we're not having fun when we're doing what we love, then we're doing something wrong. Right. So, it's great. I love working with Fee and, I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. And she's a whole bunch of things wrapped up into one. And I think it's all really great things. And, she allows you to find yourself and she will put you in positions for you to succeed. And when she needs to step in to help you kind of towards that success, she will direct you in the right way. But she really sets you up and helps you kind of learn on your own, but is there all the time to if you need her, she will be there for you and she will kind of push you in the right direction. But no, I'm extremely grateful for Coach Fee, and I will never forget talking on the phone in a sub shop when I was working at Oregon State and just talking to her on the phone. And I was like, man, I want to be on this coach's team. And it's been like that every day for me. And it continues to be like that for me. And she's great. She's family. She's everything, like I said.
Kelsey, along with that, one of the areas in which Coach Fee has been so influential in her sport is helping build it really from the ground up. And when I think Coach Fee Mulkey, I think innovator. Can you expand on that?
Oh, yeah. I think innovator and I think unstoppable. You put a task in front of her and she will find a way to achieve that task. She came up with this sport on a napkin, a United Airplane napkin. I believe it was a United Airplane napkin on her first ever recruiting trip. And I think she was thinking about this sport even before she went to Oregon, and just kind of how it could work. And in the back of her mind, maybe she didn't know it, but I swear she just always has a plan and she'll set it in motion and she'll attack it. And she is unstoppable.
Along with that, she has now won 10 national championships. We asked her if she would fit the last one for a thumb. I don't think she will, sadly. I don't think she's going to fit it for all 10 fingers. But what does it say about not just Coach Mulkey, but the program she's been a part of and Baylor University as a whole for her to now have 10 championships and 6 in a row at Baylor?
I think it says that we are at the best university possible to be able to do what we do. We get support from all the way up from the top. This school is very special. Oregon really started her off strong, and it was a great place to start and kind of and kind of take the rocket off, if you think of it as NASA launching that rocket. And Baylor has really just carried it home. And everything that we get here from Baylor University, the support staff from within us, just strength conditioning, academic coach, everybody who touches our sport, and then everybody who's involved in the NCATA with Coach Fee behind it. It is very special, and it says a lot about Baylor University, I think, that she's allowed to do what she does here. So special.
Along with that, there are some naysayers around the country that talk about acrobatics and tumbling as if it's never going to catch on, as it's growing. We talked about it. It's growing wildly. And I like to bring up when folks mention that James Naismith, the inventor of basketball, he is the losingest coach in Kansas men's basketball history. Most of the time, people that invent a sport or come up with a sport aren't successful coaching that. And Coach Fee Mulkey has really, she's changed that in acrobatics and tumbling. What is your call to support from those that may be naysayers of acrobatics and tumbling being a sport or an emerging NCAA sport?
Man, I mean, I think I just say, well, look how far we've come. Again, if you're a naysayer, Coach Fee is going to prove you wrong. So keep on naysaying, because she's just going to keep growing the sport nonstop. And I think that when people really watch the sport and see what it's all about and realize that it's opportunities for women that maybe couldn't compete at the collegiate level, it opens their eyes in a different way. All these different backgrounds that get to come into this sport, then I think it actually maybe makes them realize, oh, okay, so this is just another pathway. So I think naysayers are good for Coach Fee, because she will prove you wrong all day long.
Kelsey, I love that. I love that. For you, coming to Baylor now, being an assistant here, before you walked in the doors of the Farrell Center for the first time, did you know anything about Baylor? Have any connections to Baylor? How new was this university to you?
Oh, it was brand new. The girls like to ask a lot, kind of how it was when we were on the team. I remember just going to Barris and going to the Farrell Center, and that's about all I knew about Waco and Baylor University. And ever
They were frozen there for a second on Coach Kelsey. Kelsey, let me know if you hear me again. Kelsey Rowell of the Baylor Acrobatics and Tumbling team, talking about how she was unfamiliar with Baylor University before she got to come in and join the staff with Coach Felicia Mulkey, who now has 6 national championships. I do want to go back while we're trying to get while we're trying to work Kelsey back on to the fact that James Naismith, the inventor of the game of basketball, was a head coach at Kansas and coached Kansas basketball at the university for years, and actually has the worst record as a coach at Kansas in coaching men's basketball. So I think it should be noted for those that are naysayers of the sport of acrobatics and tumbling, like Coach Rowell was talking about, is that there have been plenty of folks who have come along, invented sports. Every sport has a creator, right? You got to think about that. Every sport has somebody that came up with it and innovated it. Kim Mulkey is that for acrobatics and tumbling. And those coaches have had plenty of naysayers, but you're in a situation in which if a guy like James Naismith can't win in the own sport he invented, but Felicia Mulkey can win 10 straight national championships, that says something. And now Coach Kelsey Rowell is back on with us. Coach, you're talking about your first experience with Baylor and coming to Baylor as an assistant and just how new it was for you.
Yes, sorry about that.
No
the
problem.
connection here on campus is a little glitchy every now and then.
Yep.
No, I didn't really know a lot about Baylor and Waco. I just remember going to Barris and going to the Farrell Center, and everything in between there was kind of a blur. Stepping foot on campus for the first time, I just knew from Coach Fee and Angela Ucci at the time that this was an amazing place and I was going to be amazed, and they were not wrong. And it's been going on almost 6 years now. And I have not been let down by that. It's very family oriented, just very welcoming. And I am very, very happy here.
I love it. Kelsey, along with that, and kind of my last question where I want to go, for you and your career goals, as this sport expands and new coaches are needed at different universities and different places, I mean, will we ever see the day where Kelsey Rowell and Fee Mulkey are facing off in a national championship against one another?
You know, I get that question a lot, and I tell Fee all the time, I'm with you until you don't want me anymore. If I need to go out there and do something, I will. But I will stick with her as long as I can. And if the sport needs me out there in the world, then I will go.
And Kelsey, along with that, with Baylor and next season's, the prospects of next season trying to win 7, another national championship. What is the team looking like going into next year already, and how excited are you to, get it underway again? I know you just won a championship, but I'm sure being a coach, you're already forward-focused.
Oh, man, we are extremely excited. This signing class that we just are about to bring in are fantastic. They are amazing athletes, but they are even better humans, and they are going to come in and I think soak up this team environment and culture. And what this program has done so far and what we kind of just did this past year has set this next team up for success. And we have a really amazing group of kids with this very young team that we have. And so we're going to try to be unstoppable again.
I love it. Coach Rowell, thanks so much for joining the show today. Congratulations on a national championship. I know that was huge, especially in the COVID year, and to have you on today and get your thoughts is spectacular. Thanks again for coming on.
Thank you so much, SicEm.
Absolutely. And Kelsey Rowell, the assistant coach of the Baylor Acrobatics and Tumbling team, talking about winning 6. James Naismith couldn't do it. He invented basketball, and he was an awful coach. Everybody can invent a sport. Felicia Mulkey did it on a napkin on an airplane, and now she's won 10 straight national championships, an innovator in the sport. It will soon be an NCAA sport as it continues to grow, and Felicia Mulkey will continue to win championships. She is the Coach Mulkey at Baylor now. How about that? She is the Coach Mulkey at Baylor, Felicia Mulkey, Baylor Acrobatics and Tumbling. When we come back from this break, Sue Favor joins the show. She is a writer. She's the creator of Women's Hoops World on Twitter. You can find Women's Hoops World on Twitter. She is the one that she covers women's basketball on a national scale closer than almost anybody out there that I know of, and she's a great, great resource for bringing in perspective about how Kim Mulkey will alter, her move will alter women's basketball, not just at LSU, not just at Baylor, but across the country. And Kim Mulkey's salary now just came out. Kim Mulkey's salary has been revealed. Kim Mulkey's deal with LSU is set to pay Mulkey $2.5 million in year 1 and will increase to north of $3 million by the end of the deal. It runs through 2028, 2029. So that is an 8-year deal worth in the range of $2.5 to $3 million. So that is a little bit more than she was making at Baylor. That is unbelievable. Huge, huge. And she has been assured upgrades to facilities. Wow. Well, we'll talk to Sue Favor about that when we come back. She's got all the analysis on women's college basketball across the country, talking more Kim Mulkey on the other side of this one. Don't go anywhere. I'm Drake Toll alongside Andrew Robertson. We got Cole Andrews, Armstrong Sims, Jack McKenzie in studio today. Don't go anywhere. This is Up Tempo.
Well, time to move on. With Kim Mulkey officially wooing Tire Nation with her opening press conference in Baton Rouge last night, the search begins for Mack Rhoades, as Mulkey's successor is expected to be named within the next 7 to 10 days. It has since been reported that LSU was not originally targeting Mulkey as a candidate for the opening, as she seemed secure at Baylor. It was Mulkey who initiated the move and eventually parted ways with the university after 21 years of service as a Lady Bear. A short list of possible replacements has not been named, but Coach Bill Brock and Satia Messer stayed in Waco rather than making the trip with Mulkey to Tiger Country last night. It has also been reported that Messer will interview for the job, and Mulkey's daughter, Mackenzie Fuller, will also likely abstain from moving to Baton Rouge. Other popular candidates to this point include Georgia head coach Joni Taylor and Arizona head coach Adia Barnes. Both candidates made huge strides with their respective programs this past season. Moving to men's tennis, the Baylor Bears are champs. Interim head coach Michael Woodson and the Bears marched through Texas at the Herd Tennis Center on Monday to claim the outright Big 12 championship after sharing the regular season title with UT and TCU. Adrian Boiton clinched the sweep of the Longhorns and earned tournament MVP as the number 3 ranked 29-4 Bears won their second straight and 10th overall tournament title. And tonight the Baylor softball team meets number 1 Oklahoma on the Brazos for a monster doubleheader against the nation's best team. The action kicks off at 4 p.m., with Game 2 falling at 6:30. Tickets are open to the public, yet those who cannot make it to Getterman Stadium can watch the matchup live, nationally televised on ESPNU. I'm Armstrong Sims, and that's all the news that is news in college sports. This has been Armstrong's Minute on SicEm365 Radio's Up Tempo.
The Jeep Celebration event at Allen Samuels has special pricing on the new 2021 Jeep Renegade Latitude with total values up to $5,250 or 0% for 84 months. Or a special deal on a new 2021 Chrysler Pacifica Hybrid Limited with total values of $7,000 or 0% for 72 months. It's the Jeep Celebration event at Allen Samuels, the best place to find your new vehicle. Located at 201 West Loop 340 in Waco.
Come by. Let's be friends.
See dealer for details. All offers have credit requirements.
Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness was built to help give you a chance to enjoy elite tennis facilities and also remain fit or reshape your body. Now Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness has gone through its own physical changes. There are 7 large flat screens stretched across the main and improved weight room with Wi-Fi available and their own app to enjoy news, business, weather, or sports channels. The beautiful sound of active treadmills and elliptical machines, group exercise classes throughout each day, a new ballet bar for bar classes, a new look lounge and bar with beer and wine with more large flat screens available. Touchless water fountains outside each spacious men's and women's locker rooms, showers, sauna, and whirlpool. Upgraded PA system throughout the world-class tennis courts and lessons for adults and juniors. I promise you'll look and feel better. You just need to walk through the front door. Also, Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness with personal trainers Christy London and Randall Corley. 40-plus group exercise classes, including twice-a-week boot camp. So start today, not tomorrow, at Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lake Shore Drive in Waco.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel and Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel and Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel and Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneersboys.com.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Don Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. If anyone is curious about CBD, ask Carol and Ashley. Don Humidor in the Townwood Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
At Baylor University, students find their place to shine. They're faithful friends and inspirational leaders. They're championship teammates and independent thinkers. They're on the cutting edge of high tech and in the halls of history. If you want to make the world a brighter place, you can. And if you want to shine in your own way, you can. The spark you need is already inside you. Bring it to Baylor, where lights shine bright.
I got breaking news here. We got Western Athletic Conference just announced they're adding several schools.
The WAC.
The WAC.
Okay. Welcome back to Up Tempo on SicEm365 Radio.
I think Coach Gundy would be like my guy that I would just like just the hair. Yeah. I just want to be able to see it flow when I kind of slam his arm down.
Here's Drake Toll.
Welcome back into the Petty Clinic Low T Bears Den. Still waiting on Miss Sue Faber, Women's Hoops World, to hop on in with us today. We did just read off the breaking news that Kim Mulkey will make somewhere in the neighborhood of $3 million as the head women's basketball coach at LSU. So for those that came out and said that she would not make as much money or the donors would not put up at LSU because it's a football school, well, they ended up being incorrect. Kim Mulkey, $3 million prospect at Louisiana State University to be their women's basketball coach. She will be one of the highest paid coaches in the country. You knew. This wasn't a money thing. Kim Mulkey didn't leave to get more money at LSU. It seems like to me like a respect thing. She wanted some more respect. She wanted to be recognized more where she went. We have heard very differing reports on different sides of this subject that some say that Kim Mulkey is the one that initiated this. Others say that it was LSU and athletic director Woodward that called Mulkey and said, "We want you." From what I have heard from direct sources near Woodward, is that in the opening of this process, he did not expect Kim Mulkey to jump ship from Baylor and come to LSU, which who would? Who would? I mean, what is the point? And so now, with what has happened with Kim Mulkey and her being now at LSU, I do believe the catalyst, it started with Mulkey wanting to go back home, wanting to be at a change of scenery, and going to LSU to be the new women's basketball coach. We're now joined by the creator, the innovator, women's hoops world herself. That is Miss Sue Favor. Sue, thank you so much for coming on the show and joining us again today.
Well, hey, nice to be back. What's going on? How you doing?
I'm doing great. Always a pleasure to have you on our show and great to get your input. Sue, since the last time you and I talked, Baylor is short a basketball coach, and I'm not sure if anybody saw this coming.
Man, I have to say I was surprised, and I don't get surprised by much these days. Heard it coming for a week, and I was skeptical, frankly. I'm not sure if you're interested in why, but it really did happen. So I think everybody is a little surprised for sure.
So that was the thing for us. I was hearing from those sources very close to the program early last week that the reports were no, that Kim Mulkey was staying at Baylor, and that wouldn't be an issue. Kind of walk me through, because I know you were breaking news and posting throughout this entire process. Walk me through what you heard at first and how that started to develop and change throughout the week.
Well, yeah, at first it was just kind of a rumor, Drake, and so everybody kind of said, oh, sure. And I tell you, to be honest, one of the reasons I thought it was a rumor at first is because, Kim Mulkey is almost 60 years old, and she's so firmly established at Baylor. She made a job. She turned it into a powerhouse from nothing. And I mean, that's a long process. And she has 3 natties. And, you just think about somebody almost 60 going to a program to start all over again, basically start from scratch. And that doesn't happen too often. So that's the reason I was pretty skeptical at first. I was like, nah, she wasn't going to do that. Who would do that? But yeah, as the week went on, and then she wasn't actively denying the rumors or anything like that. You started to think it was more of a possibility. And then, a couple of days before that, it sounded like she really was about to leave. And then, I don't know, did you have a chance to watch the opening presser yesterday at LSU?
I did. And she started with ripping the mask off, which I wondered, I tweeted it out. I was wondering how long it would take until Kim Mulkey did something at LSU that would just make everyone mad and go viral in the national media. And it didn't take very long at all.
The minute I heard that, I was walking around my house getting ready to leave, so I was watching it on my phone on YouTube. And the minute she did it, I was like, "Oh, there it is." Yep. But if you're like me, Drake, and I think you are, Kim Mulkey just is who she is. And I mean, I've been literally watching her since she was 19, almost 20, and won that first national title back in 1982. I mean, she's always been like that. So anybody who's acting like she isn't full of fire and vigor and passion like that and be, afraid to have her own opinions is just kidding themselves. So, you got to just let it roll off, let people be who they are. But she just said a lot in that presser. It was a long opening statement before she took questions. And, as usual, we probably won't really ever know the truth. I think it's probably not any one thing, like most things are not. It was probably a collection of things I have heard, true or not, that she and the Baylor administration weren't the best of friends. I know LSU was prepared to offer her a whole lot of money to leave. There was that enticing possibility. And also, she's already worked for 15 years in the state of Louisiana. And so I know there is some retirement clause for schools in the South, such as Texas and Louisiana, where if you have a certain number of years in a state that you get some type of retirement benefits, because I know that's why Vic Schaefer came to Texas from Mississippi State, because he had the same situation in reverse at Texas. So I think probably all of those factors weighed, as well as the coming home part that Kim strongly emphasized yesterday. I am going to probably bet that it was a collection of those 4 factors that probably formed the perfect storm for her to say, hey, man, let me go do this. We'll do it again. And then also, let's not kid ourselves, that transfer rule just went into effect the other day, allowing players to do a one-time transfer to a school without having to sit out a year. And I don't try to tell me that your listeners haven't already thought about that and are wondering if there's certain names in the transfer portal even as we speak. You know what I'm saying? So I guess we'll see about that. But hey, you never know. Kim Mulkey is a magician, so she could probably, yeah.
Spitfire. She's a spitfire. You never know with Kim Mulkey. I think that is a big part. You know, Sue, I'm glad that you brought that up, kind of the thing with the administration. We've talked about it. There's a list of head coaches at Baylor University, from softball to soccer to football, that you know when you sit them down in front of a camera what they're going to say. It's going to be very polished, it's going to be very professional, and it's going to be a light for the university. And when Kim Mulkey got in front of a camera, you just never knew. You really never knew. And I think that became an issue there toward the end of her tenure with the new administration. And so, she was being her. That's how Kim always has been. And it became a different dynamic as the years went on. But with that, you know, Sue, from your perspective, why now? Why now for Kim Mulkey?
That is a really great question. I know my sources had told me that there was going to be movement at LSU. So, you know, maybe that was, she kept saying yesterday, LSU's the only school I would have left Baylor for. So maybe that was true. Maybe she just saw the perfect opportunity. You know, she had heard the rumors like everyone else had that LSU was ready to make a move. And maybe she was like, okay, here's my chance, you know, because you think about where else could she possibly go that would make an immediate impact in a high level way. And LSU is probably the only school in that state if she wanted to truly go back to LSU. So maybe that's what it was. I don't know.
So from what you've heard, and maybe you haven't gotten much perspective on this yet, we've had a lot of differing reports over kind of the catalyst in this situation. You know, I've heard from a couple different coaches that Kim was on the forefront of this, that when she saw the opening at LSU, maybe it could have been a leverage move by her reaching out to Woodward. And she's got a relationship with plenty of those at Louisiana State. And that Woodward, on the front end of this, didn't believe they would get Mulkey because she's been so firm and in position at Baylor. From what you've heard, can you pinpoint a catalyst in the person that really made this ship sail?
She kept saying yesterday, I forget the woman's name at LSU, but that might have been the catalyst. It was Dee. And she kept saying Dee, and I kept thinking about Dee Hirsch. It was somebody named Dee at LSU. I can't remember. I did look at the staff directory the other day, but I forget who Dee is, but she's obviously a high-level official. She said yesterday, Kim said Dee could sell ice to an Eskimo. So I'm like, well, maybe Dee was the catalyst. I don't know. It sounds like it was kind of, she said by the time she got to the athletic director speaking, it was only a 10-minute conversation. So obviously kind of her mind might have already been made up at that point. So I'm going to guess without knowing, because I think, you know, without somebody directly telling you, speculation is sort of, you know, a very best guess at best, that it was probably something where she was sort of looking, perhaps, I'm going to speculate, they happened to ask her at the right time, and maybe she, you know, spoke to people and they convinced her, and that maybe that's how that worked out, and threw in all the money and all the retirement possibilities, benefit possibilities and stuff. And it was kind of like the perfect storm at the perfect time, you know?
Yeah. Dee Bro, the gymnastics coach for 42 seasons at LSU. I know her and Kim had a great relationship. Yep.
That's the one.
And she had mentioned her on a couple different occasions, and I'm sure that you're right. I think that's the first I've really considered that being the catalyst, but I'm sure that's where this thing really kicked off with their relationship and Kim knowing plenty of people in Baton Rouge, in and around that area. Sue, I want to know, you talked about the transfer portal. I'm so glad you brought that up. With these players and coaches, when you get a legendary coach like a Kim Mulkey or a Muffet McGraw or a Gino Ariam or even a Pat Summitt, are these players playing for coaches or are they playing for universities? Where does that loyalty lie?
Ooh, that's a great question. That's a great question, actually. We could do a whole show on that. I would say, it's easy to say the school, but quite honestly, I would say it's the coaches, because if you watched my immediate thought Sunday when I heard this news was the players. So as soon as I could get to my social media, I checked on Melissa Smith's account, Queen Egbo's account, and Moon Urson's account, just to see how they were doing. I'm like, maybe as a person who deals with young people, I was caring about the young people, and they all seem pretty affected, pretty deeply affected. And so I would say, yeah. And that's why I'm really kind of keeping my eye on the transfer portal right now. Like I was saying, is because I don't know, maybe I guess we'll see, right? Are they going to stay at Baylor, the mighty Baylor? Because basically the school, the program becomes a personification of the person that leads it, Like if Brenda Fries left Maryland, would Maryland still be Maryland? Because Brenda Fries, I think she's been there for about as long as Kim has been at Kim was at Baylor. You know what I'm saying? So that's a really powerful question, to be honest.
If Fries did leave and came to Baylor, I don't think I'd be disappointed. I'm glad that would be.
I know, right? Well, I'm waiting for you to bring that topic up, because I know you're going to get to this, but like, who are they going to pick? Because basically Baylor is going to have to go high and hard. They're going to have to. I actually spoke to one of my media colleagues Sunday, and he says they're going to have to pluck. And he meant they're going to have to basically steal somebody from somebody else's program. So it's going to be a very interesting month.
Sue, that's exactly where I was going next. You read my mind.
I knew it. Because, you and I, we kind of think the same a little bit, Drake. I know we've only talked twice, but I already knew in that first meeting, I'm like, we're probably going to be talking more because we have similar minds here.
Bingo. Got the women's basketball, got it on lock right there. And you mentioned Kim's the legend. Kim has been at Baylor for 20 seasons. Nobody wants to follow up the legend. How does somebody come in and try to follow up the legend? But we've already seen tweets from Melissa Smith today and Caitlin Pickell that would allude to them coming back. Melissa Smith said, y'all are in for something sweet, hashtag year 4. So it looks like maybe Melissa Smith comes back. Pickell said once a Bear, always a Bear. So if those players end up staying, now you're going to hire a coach. It's got a pretty good recruiting class coming in. You've got great players that stay if they do stay. Where do you go? Do you go in-house? Do you go outside? Who needs to be on the short list for Baylor right now?
Ooh, that's a good question. I hadn't really thought of names before this show. I should have. But then again, I actually kind of think it's ridiculous to throw out names because I'm not a big speculator. People that do mock drafts and mock this and mock that, there's always been one of those. Every coaching change that's taken place this year so far, Drake, and it's been a hell of a lot, has automatically been followed up by somebody in some newspaper less than 2 hours later saying, here's who should be on the list. Did it, and then they hired the person, and it was nobody that was on that list. So I'm always hesitant to say that, but it should be Baylor. Knowing Baylor, they're going to need to go for another Power 5. They're going to have somebody who's extremely strong. They're not going to be able to just take a mid-major coach and elevate them like they have with some of the other hires. This is not the time to take a first-time head coach and put him in there and whatnot. They're going to need somebody that's already had a lot of experience, that knows how to run a program and how to not just keep things going, but turn things around. Because they're going to have to reset the tone or reset the expectations and keep the balls are already spinning in the air. They're going to have to find a way to find somebody to keep the balls up in the air. So I don't know. It could be they're going to have to go to a Power 5 is my guess. I don't see how they could go any lower than a Power 5 plucking.
Sue, we've heard, obviously, Satia Messer's name thrown out there. She spent years coaching in Tennessee, just a few years coaching in Tennessee in the OVC. Now as the assistant at Baylor, she's been the lead recruiter for Kim Mulkey on staff. Bill Brock's the current interim. However, Bill's around 67 or so I'm not sure if they pull the trigger on an older coach. But then Adia Barnes and Joni Taylor have been two of the other names that have been thrown out there. And I really do want to specifically look at Barnes, Taylor, and Messer. Of those three, I don't want you to speculate necessarily them getting the job, but how would you see them fit if they did or if they were in consideration?
Fascinating question. Obviously, the easiest one to be Messer because it's always a good thought to kind of roll with people who already know the program. And actually, I hadn't thought about that. That might be a good move, at least for an interim. They could have an interim for a year. Bill Brock is really solid. He coached the game here in UCLA in 2017 when the Bears came here to play UCLA in November 2017. And Kim couldn't be here because her daughter had just miscarried, and he did a fine job coaching them that game. So he's definitely capable of that. But, Joni would be a great fit there, I think, because she's already familiar with that area and with the high level of competition. Not that Adia is not, but Adia is still kind of just came out of nowhere a little bit with this year. And so not that she can't do it again, but, I think Joni probably has a bit of a longer track record as far as that's concerned. So those are three great names, though, I must say. Those are some really great possibilities right there.
Hopefully one of those three will at least be in consideration. It's been released that Coach Messer will get an interview. So she could be the next move for Baylor, and the process should take no more than a week, maybe a week and a half.
Wow.
And Sue, before I let you go, though, is there anything else that I'm missing? Anything else, some thoughts you'd like to share with us on basically this entire situation? Because I love picking your brain.
Well, that's nice of you. You know what? I am intrigued to see what Kim Mulkey is going to do at LSU moving forward. I'm intrigued to see what's going to happen in both places because I would love to see Baylor continue on the trajectory that it's been on. I really had a great time watching Baylor play this season. I really love the players that play there. I'm a big Nalissa Smith fan now, and love Queen and Moon. So I really actually hope that they get somebody great to keep that program going because I would hate to see it take a dip. And then it's going to be super intriguing to see what Kim does at LSU. The SEC is already so brutal and so strong, and it's going to be a challenge for her. And not that she can't handle it, but the Big 12 is maybe not quite has the competition that SEC has. And so Kim will definitely have her work cut out for her. And so as far as she's taking half the staff with her and she's keeping half the LSU staff, it's going to be very interesting to see how that works out. She'll have some tough competition. And when LSU and South Carolina play, man, trust me, I'm going to be all the way in for that one, whether I have to watch it in a car or on a plane or hanging off the side of a cliff. I'm going to be tuned into that one because that should be some fire right there.
Don Staley and Kim Mulkey sharing a sideline is something. That's for sure. Hey, Sue, Bear Games question of the day for you. If you could see one former Baylor player, women's basketball player, come back and be an assistant coach in the green and gold next year, who would you like to see on the sidelines?
Wow. That's a great question. There sure has been a lot of them. I can't really say off the top. What do you think, Drake?
Nina Davis has been a popular answer today. Maybe Lauren Cox in the future or Chloe Jackson, but Nina Davis has been the one that Mackenzie Fuller, I think, is the easy one to go with if you want to stay in the Mulkey family. But I think Nina Davis would be great.
Yeah, actually, I could go with that. I know she probably would be playing in the WNBA if the WNBA were a larger league. But since she's not, she could just really go into coaching. That's a good thought, actually.
Absolutely.
There's been a lot of fun players to watch over the years out of there. So I was there in Denver when they won the title in 2012, 40-0. And I think Kim is the only one to have done that undefeated season for the last 20 years, at least.
Yep.
Yeah.
She pulled it off in the modern era, and now she's off to LSU. But Sue, thank you so much for joining us on Women's Hoops World today on Uptempo. Always a pleasure to have you.
Hey, thanks for having me. Hopefully we can do it again, my friend.
Absolutely. Let's do it soon. Again, that was Sue Favor, Women's Hoops World. Find her on Twitter. Pleasure as always. Great input from national analysts in women's college basketball and what is next for Baylor, LSU, and Kim Mulkey. I'm Drake Toll, Jack McKenzie, Andrew Robertson. We got Cole Andrews and Armstrong Sims in studio today. When we come back, celebrity birthdays this day in sports history. Do not go anywhere. This is Uptempo.
Well, time to move on. With Kim Mulkey officially wooing Tire Nation with her opening press conference in Baton Rouge last night, the search begins for Mack Rhoades, as Mulkey's successor is expected to be named within the next 7 to 10 days. It has since been reported that LSU was not originally targeting Mulkey as a candidate for the opening, as she seems secure at Baylor. It was Mulkey who initiated the move and eventually parted ways with the university after 21 years of service as a Lady Bear. A short list of possible replacements has not been named, but Coach Bill Brock and Satia Messer stayed in Waco rather than making the trip with Mulkey to Tiger Country last night. It has also been reported that Messer will interview for the job, and Mulkey's daughter, Mackenzie Fuller, will also likely abstain from moving to Baton Rouge. Other popular candidates to this point include Georgia head coach Joni Taylor and Arizona head coach Adia Barnes. Both candidates made huge strides with their respective programs this past season. Moving to men's tennis, the Baylor Bears are champs. Interim head coach Michael Woodson and the Bears marched through Texas at the Herd Tennis Center on Monday to claim the outright Big 12 championship after sharing the regular season title with UT and TCU. Adrian Boiton clinched the sweep of the Longhorns and earned tournament MVP as the number 3 ranked 29-4 Bears won their second straight and 10th overall tournament title. And tonight, the Baylor softball team meets number 1 Oklahoma on the Brazos for a monster doubleheader against the nation's best team. The action kicks off at 4 p.m., with Game 2 falling at 6:30. Tickets are open to the public, yet those who cannot make it to Getterman Stadium can watch the matchup live, nationally televised on ESPNU. I'm Armstrong Sims, and that's all the news that is news in college sports. This has been Armstrong's Minute on SicEm365 Radio's Up Tempo.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
At Marco's Pizza, get craveable pizza made the Italian way with dough made from scratch, an original sauce recipe, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and premium toppings you love, served hot and safe. Right now, you can get unlimited medium one-topping pizzas for just $6.99 each. Why stop at just one? Order with your app or at marcos.com for curbside, carryout, or delivery today. Marco's, pizza lovers get it.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Engel with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like instant issue debit cards free at all of our banking centers, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trust the doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
With more than 160,000 alumni worldwide and counting, the Baylor family is growing. And through the university's expanded Baylor alumni program, the family is growing closer. With hundreds of local volunteers planning events in cities and towns around the country, you can gather with fellow Bears no matter where you are. So, get connected, get something started, get involved, and make plans to get together with Baylor alumni. Visit us at baylor.edu/alumni.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
Welcome back to Up Tempo on SicEm365 Radio.
As there's a drive in a deep left field by Castellanos, it will be a home run. And so that'll make it a 4-0 ball game.
Now back to the Bears Den with Drake Toll for a Baylor take on your lunch break.
Welcome back into the Petty Clinic Low T Bears Den. Happy Celebrity Birthdays Day. There are a lot of birthdays that are going on across the birthday world today because it's a year and the years have birthdays all around them. I'm Drake Toll. I'm with a studio full of boys, and we're going to do some celebrity birthdays right now. This day in birthday history, there were some birthdays. Armstrong, guess who has a birthday today? Nope. Lizzo. How old?
I'm not going to get... Oh.
32.
32 from Cole. 28.
26.
26. Andrew? Lizzo.
30.
She's 33 today. Froy Gutierrez has a birthday. Markey has a birthday. Patrick Stump. Rock singer Patrick Stump has a birthday today.
Froy?
Cy Robertson has a birthday today.
You say there was a guy named Froy?
Yeah. Cy Robertson has a birthday today. How old's Cy Robertson? Go. 44.
Cy Robertson.
Happy.
No, that's Phil.
Oh, okay. Cy. No, it's Cy. It's Cy. Happy, Cy.
Happy
I'll
is
die
Phil.
on this. Oh, okay. Maybe.
It's Phil.
Yeah, Cy died.
Cy is alive.
Yeah, he's definitely alive. He's probably like 73.
Oh my gosh! He is 73.
Legendary.
Shell Luveda has a birthday today. Libsicate, TikToker. Oh, Ulysses S. Grant has a birthday today. Everybody give it up. Everybody give it up. Come on.
The Grant family.
Big day. If you're a Grant out there listening.
Big day for the Grant family.
Willem Alexander of the Netherlands
didn't even guess.
also has a birthday today. Yeah, Grant
500.
would be... 500. 500? How old? Ulysses S. Grant?
No. William Alexander of the North.
No, he's 54 today. Not 500.
William Alexander?
Yeah, of the North. Of the Netherlands. He's the king of the Netherlands. Netherlands. King of Netherlands.
Sounds like a medieval character.
Ulysses S. Grant.
Human.
Anybody?
300.
Oh. 170. 70?
170, he said. I don't know. I have to do some math here.
199 today. Very close.
Wow,
you got it very
202.
close. 202. Then we also have, there's this day in sports history.
The outro.
What do we always do at 2 o'clock? You gotta be kidding me. Oh, fire him into the sun.
Later, guys.
Fire him into the sun.
Interns.
God bless. Can't even run the audio board. I'm Drake Toll, Armstrong Sims, Cole Andrews, Andrew Robertson, Jack McKenzie, all in studio
Jack's
today.
on the audio board.
When we come back tomorrow, it'll be 11 a.m. and we'll do some more stuff. I think Kramer Robertson's going to join the show tomorrow. Kim Mulkey's son. We got a lot of jam-packed stuff coming at you. Don't go anywhere. This has been Up Tempo.